Chapter 1387. Gina had thought that even if she couldn't survive the whole process, she would at least survive half of it. However, she had already lost the game before it even started. She only had one sister. She thought she had hidden her sister well, but she still found her. You shouldn't believe the theory that the most dangerous place is the safest place. Shisheng turned off the holographic image and sat down on the sofa. Let's sit down and talk. Before you ask, I want to ask you a question. It's easy for Shisheng to track someone's whereabouts. Shisheng poured himself a glass of water and answered without her asking. It's hard to hide someone in this era. Gina's mouth twitched. She wanted to ask her who Shisheng was and why he dared to use such a name. She walked to Shisheng and sat down. Master Shi, you're really good. Thank you. Shisheng smiled and went straight to the point. Then let's talk about what the Space Administration wants to do. Or rather, what do you want me to do? The director needs to talk to you about the details. I'm only responsible for passing the message. Gina took a deep breath. We can also give you Feng Ci, but you have to agree to cooperate with us. Shisheng looked at her. It's not difficult for me to steal someone. It's not difficult, but Master Shi, if you don't cooperate with us, Feng Ci will be sent to another time and space. Even if you have the ability to travel through parallel spaces, it won't be that easy to find him. Since she had said that, Gina didn't try to hide anything. Do you remember the room he was in? It was a transmission magnetic field. I have a monitoring device on me. No matter if you kill me, catch me, or try to save him, he'll be sent away immediately. Shisheng's expression didn't change. How can you be sure that I'll agree to your request for him? We're not sure. Gina breathed heavily. We're betting. She looked at the girl sitting opposite her. She was so calm that Gina couldn't guess what she was thinking. No wonder the director said she was difficult to deal with. Just based on this calm demeanor, even if they had a card up their sleeves, they would still be intimidated. However, they weren't completely sure. Do you have anything else to say? Gina pursed her red lips and said, Master Shi, don't be in such a hurry to reject us. Whether you agree or not, please listen to our request first. Shisheng stood up from the sofa and looked down at her. If Caesar doesn't appear in front of me in 2 hours, the Space Administration will become a thing of the past. Gina's pupils shrank, and a layer of cold sweat appeared on her body. Where did she find out? When Gina came out of the room, she was still in a daze. Shifeng walked her back to her room and reminded her very considerately, Miss Gina, you still have 1 hour, 50 minutes, and 20 seconds. I hope His Excellency Caesar is on the capital star. Otherwise, I'm afraid you won't be able to make it. How did you know? Gina came back to herself and asked in a loud voice. Shifeng's expression was solemn. If the patriarch wants to know, he will know. I won't disturb Miss Gina. Shifeng left with the Zhanlong guards. The Zhanlong guards at her door also left. Gina swallowed hard and dialed the number with trembling fingers. The call got through quickly. I'll be there in an hour. Don't worry. Did she do anything to you? No. Hearing the familiar voice, Gina calmed down. Director, how did she know so much in such a short time? The director was silent for a moment. She has an artificial intelligence. I suspect that she brought it out from that place. Director, you're saying. It's what you think. If the artificial intelligence in her hands really came from that place, it's not strange that she found out so quickly. Gina's expression became even worse. She's been there? There's no place in the 6 major galaxies that she hasn't been to. I just contacted Little One and deduced this matter. Whether it's true or not, I have to confirm it before I can make a conclusion. He paused. What did she use to threaten you? Jiwei. Gina's voice became weaker. I'm sorry, Director. It's something that she would do. She still has a bottom line. Since you said so, she won't hurt Jiwei. I'll send someone to pick her up immediately. Don't worry. I'm sorry. There's nothing to apologize for. A person with weaknesses is a person of flesh and blood. Take her for example. I really don't know what her weakness is after that incident. She'd better not disappoint me after such a big trap. Why her? Gina asked a question that the system had once asked. It has to be her. The director was silent for a few seconds. Do you know why so many people are afraid of her? Gina didn't know why the director asked such a question. She thought for a while before answering. She's very powerful, smart, and cold-blooded and heartless. That's right. Gina looked at the call that had been hung up. What was right? Cold-blooded and heartless? She was cold-blooded and heartless to begin with. She would fall out with someone like Shir-E and Shirlan. What was her previous question? Why did he choose her? Because she was cold-blooded and heartless. Gina was puzzled. What kind of cause and effect was this? An ordinary hover car stopped at the entrance of the hotel. Before the waiter waiting outside could go forward, he saw the Zhanlong guards coming out of the hall aggressively and heading straight for the hover car. The waiter hesitated and gave up on going over. What a joke, that was the Zhanlong guards. The hover car opened and a man got out. The man had golden hair that shone under the sun. The man was very young and handsome, but there was a ruffian smile on his lips. He didn't look like a proper person. He looked at the person standing at the front of the Zhanlong guards and opened his arms enthusiastically, wanting to hug him. Shifeng, long time no see. Shifeng avoided him coldly. Your Excellency Caesar, we don't know each other well. Caesar sighed. Shifeng, are you angry with me? I wouldn't dare. Shifeng took a step back and gestured for Caesar to go first. Your Excellency Caesar, you should think about how to explain it to the family head. Shifeng, when she attacks later, you have to stop her. Caesar winked at Shifeng. Shifeng continued to refuse coldly. I wouldn't dare. Caesar. He looked up at the towering hotel and restrained his expression. He walked into the hotel with the aura of a proper person. Shifeng followed him from a distance. Both of them were silent. When Caesar reached Shifeng's door, he said, Shifeng, I had no choice but to do that back then. With that, he pushed open the door and strode in. Shifeng was still sitting on the sofa. It seemed that she hadn't moved since Gina left. When Caesar entered, she only looked up and sneered. You faked your death once. You've become bolder. Chapter 1388. Little Sheng. We haven't seen each other for so many years. Is this how you welcome me? Caesar chuckled. He didn't wait for Shifeng to ask him to sit. He sat across from Shifeng, crossed his legs, and looked into Shifeng's eyes. Shifeng glanced at him indifferently. We haven't seen each other for so many years. Is this how you set me up? Caesar raised his eyebrows, and the crooked smile on his face returned. Isn't there a saying that friends are meant to be set up? Your name isn't on my list of friends. Shifeng's voice was calm. Don't be so heartless. We used to fight side by side. If we don't have any friendship, how can we not have any comradeship? The one who fought side by side with you was Shifeng, not me. Caesar was speechless. He took a deep breath and put away his frivolous attitude. In an instant, he became a mature and steady man. Shifeng, what I'm about to say is very important. I hope you can listen carefully. Take me to see Feng Xiai first. We can talk about other things after he comes back to me. Shifeng's expression was cold, as if she was talking about something unrelated to her. If it weren't for you, the space administration would have been long gone. Don't challenge my bottom line. Shifeng's last sentence made Caesar swallow everything he wanted to say. All right, I'll take you to see him first. Caesar stood up. You still care about old times. Shifeng didn't say anything. She also stood up and went inside to change into her black dress. She walked in front of Caesar and raised her head slightly to look at him. The sunlight from outside shone into her eyes and dyed her dark pupils a warm color, but there was no warmth in them at all. Caesar, you know very well why I didn't do anything. Do you think I have such a thing as old times? I'll treat it as returning your favor and won't pursue the matter. But from now on, no matter how you plan to set me up, I'll return it to you one by one. Thank you for saving that person's life. That person saved my life. Caesar clasped his hands together and looked very sincere. That person's name was almost taboo, so it was better not to mention it. If it weren't for this debt, he really wouldn't have dared to do anything to her. Just as she said, if she didn't know that he was the one behind all these things, the space administration would have been long gone. From today onwards, he would be completely blacklisted by her, and she would be ready to kill him at any time. Just thinking about it gave Caesar a headache. Why didn't he save her a few more times? Fortunately, he still had a trump card. Caesar still remembered the first time he saw her. She was still a little lowly. She was really a little lowly. She was only 11 or 12 years old. However, it was not a good scene. She was covered in blood, and her first reaction when she saw him was to kill him. But before she could do anything, she was caught. He saw the look in her eyes before she left. It was cold and gloomy. It was not the look of a child. Later on, the first time he met her was during a battle with pirates. She became more and more gloomy, and the entire pirate gang was wiped out by her. The third time they met, the gloominess on her body had disappeared, leaving only an unfathomable calmness. He knew that she had not changed for the better. Instead, she had learned how to control her emotions and how to be an unpredictable person. That was also the first time he saw that person beside her. It was an accident that he had saved that person. However, it was because of that accident that he had started to interact with her. She might have forgotten what they had met a long time ago. The way she looked at him was no different from how she looked at other people. It was cold and calm. When Caesar came to himself, he was already standing in front of a building. Caesar keyed in the password skillfully. The heavy metal door opened. Inside, there was a small path leading to an unknown place. The path was surrounded by green bamboos, which did not match the advanced door at all. Shisheng hadn't brought anyone with her. She had come alone. She followed Caesar through the door, and the heavy metal door slowly closed behind her. Caesar led her forward. The path was very long. He couldn't help but ask, "How did you know?" Shisheng understood what he was trying to say despite the fact that he didn't have a head or tail. Buttface said he didn't belong to the alliance. "There are not many people who are so powerful and dare to set me up. I just did a check." Shisheng said calmly. "Then how did you suspect me?" "Do you want to know?" Caesar nodded. He wanted to know where the loopholes were, so that he could make improvements. "You have a habit when you write the source code." "Unfortunately, I remember it." Caesar. "What habit? Did he have one? Why didn't he know about it?" She wasn't making things up, was she? While Caesar was doubting himself, they reached the end of the path. A black pagoda-like building appeared in front of them. It was made of the same material as the holographic image that Gina had shown him. Caesar walked to the front of the pagoda and opened the door. The interior of the pagoda was similar to an ordinary pagoda. However, the things inside were completely high-tech. The first floor of the pagoda seemed to be an office. There were many white metal desks and holographic projections in the air. Many people in uniform were busying themselves in the crowd. When Caesar came in with someone, everyone looked over. Caesar ignored them. He led Shisheng down the spiral staircase. There was a monitoring room on the first floor. Caesar asked the people in the monitoring room to go out and find Feng Xi's room. The young man was still in the same position that Gina had shown him. Shisheng looked at Caesar and said, "I want to see him." Caesar pulled out a chair and sat down. He said earnestly, "Shisheng, it's not that I don't want to take you to see him. It's that you can't see him. He has a very violent power around him. Anyone who gets close to him will die." "Oh, then how did you put him in there?" Caesar explained. "When I caught him, he was very weak. Not long ago, his power started to recover. No one can get close to him." "I want to see him." Shisheng's voice became louder. Caesar looked at Shisheng. He struggled for a moment and said, "I can let you in, but let me finish first." Shisheng took out his sword. "Now let me see him." Caesar. He took out his sword without saying anything. "What the hell?" He gritted his teeth. "Come with me." He took Shisheng down 3 floors and stood in front of a metal door. He opened the door and said, "Don't say that I didn't warn you. No matter how strong you are, you can get hurt if you get close to him." Shisheng didn't say anything. The metal door opened. Caesar was furious. He pointed at a path behind the metal door. "Go down this path and turn left." This is a fake group. Caesar. I think there's something wrong with the way I appeared. Don't other people's murderers always appear very strong? Why do I have to run over to see her? Little fairy. That's someone else's home. Cherub. That's someone else's home plus one. All residents of the 6 galaxies. That's someone else's home plus one system. That's someone else's home plus one Caesar. Whose side are you on? System. Did I say something wrong? I don't think so. Master, check if I've been poisoned. Shisheng. I think it's broken. Go back to the furnace and rebuild it. System. Master, save me. Caesar. I can't even save myself. Save yourself. System. I'm going to betray you. Caesar. Chapter 1389. The passageway was narrow, and the temperature seemed to have risen. Shisheng tugged at her collar in annoyance. She stared at the passageway in front of her, where she could not see anything. Her steps were neither fast nor slow. The corner was right in front of her. She suddenly paused. What if Feng Xi wanted something different from her? Shisheng stared blankly at the empty space. No matter what, she wanted him. Even if he was tied to her side, she wanted him. Shisheng took a deep breath, lifted her foot, and turned the corner. Her field of vision widened, and the room in the holographic image appeared in her sight. Thick iron chains snaked across the ground. Her gaze followed the chains upwards. The young man was barefoot. His ankles were chained and worn black. Shisheng's eyebrows twitched. Her gaze continued upwards. One of his hands was hanging by his side, while the other was casually resting across his abdomen. There were also traces of the chains on his wrists. Just as her gaze moved to his face, she suddenly met his eyes. She didn't even have time to see what kind of emotions were in those eyes before a strange power spread out from the room. The air around her seemed to have been sucked away. Shisheng was thrown to the wall behind her by that strange force. The cold wall made her react immediately. She pulled out her iron sword and waved it beside her with difficulty. The force seemed to cut through, and Shisheng's stiff body immediately became flexible. She swung her iron sword wildly in the air to create space for herself to move. King retard. She looked into the room. The young man had stood up at some point. He was quietly looking at her through the transparent glass. Perhaps it was because he had been here for a long time, but the young man's skin was sickly white. His blood vessels were clearly visible. The young man looked very cute. A very beautiful young man. So beautiful that he was cute. Shisheng was slightly stunned. This was a little different from the Feng Xi she had imagined. She had thought of various versions of him, but she did not expect him to be associated with the word cute. His eyes were extremely cold, but there was darkness and evil hidden in the depths of his eyes. It was as if it would not matter if everything in this world was destroyed. Even though he had a cute face, it couldn't hide his sinister aura, which made people shudder. Shisheng took a deep breath. In the past, Feng Xi's personality was more or less similar to his. This was the real him. But what could he do? She really wanted him. His appearance was too much. The air around them became even more turbulent. Shisheng cleaved a path through the air and strode toward him. The distance between the two of them shortened. The young man's eyes moved, and the power that she had dispersed came pressing over once again. It was ferocious, as if it wanted to crush her into powder. Feng Xi. Shisheng was enraged as she shouted at him. Are you trying to kill me? The young man was stunned for a moment, and his dead heart began to beat again. She was here. The power in the air receded like a tide. He moved his dry lips and said in a hoarse voice, Are you here to pick me up? Shisheng walked to the transparent glass and said word by word, I'm here to take you home. Home. The young man stared at her. His eyes moved slightly, and he reached out to cover the glass in front of him. With a crack, the glass cracked and fell to the ground like a spider web. He walked out of the room, and the metal chains clanged as he moved. She was right in front of him, but he suddenly couldn't move forward. He turned to look at the metal chains behind him. The chains were connected to the wall behind him. He tugged at them, but they didn't budge. The young man frowned and turned to look at Shisheng. The person on the other side stepped over the broken glass and hugged him. The young man didn't hug her. His hands hung by his side, and he even moved back. He buried his head in her neck and bit her. Shisheng's body trembled, but he didn't make a sound. He bit down hard, and after a while he let go and licked her neck gently. I missed you. She no longer existed in his dreams. He was finally within reach. Yes, I missed you too. We don't need a grand reunion, and we don't need touching words. You're already in my blood, bone marrow, and soul. You're all I have. Shisheng let go of him. I'll take you out first. The young man was very obedient and stood still quietly. Can you open it yourself? Shisheng looked at the metal chain in his hand, his eyes cold. The young man shook his head. Shisheng reached out to touch the metal chain, but the young man blocked him and put his hand behind his back. Shisheng frowned. What's wrong? There's a strange power on it. The young man's voice was very soft. It'll hurt you. Shisheng took a deep breath and looked up into the void. Caesar, get over here. Caesar, who had been watching the surveillance footage, was shocked. He pressed on the holographic screen. Shisheng, I can't open that thing either. Say that again. I'm telling the truth. I don't have to lie to you. I really can't open it. Who can open it? Caesar suddenly fell silent. Shisheng looked at the metal chain. Her attention was all on Feng Xi just now, so she didn't look at it carefully. Now that she looked at it carefully, she felt very uncomfortable. F***ck. Shisheng, you saw it. This was made by that person. No one can open it unless that person comes in person. Caesar's voice was a bit depressed. He had no choice but to use this. If he knew it would end up like this, he wouldn't have done it. Unfortunately, there was no such thing as earlier in this world. Shisheng hugged Feng Xi and comforted him. Don't be afraid. I'll find a way. Shisheng took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. The iron sword could cut open the metal chain, but Feng Xi would suffer a backlash. This method wouldn't work. Shisheng contacted Shifeng in the hotel. Master. Shifeng looked at the strange environment on Shisheng's side and couldn't help but sound nervous. Go back to the blue planet and get the red sandalwood box I put in the study. Master? Are you okay? I'm fine. Go. That box is. Shifeng paused and remembered his duty. I'll go now. The news of Shifeng leaving the imperial capital star with a small group of Zhanlong guards quickly spread. No one knew why they suddenly left, just like no one knew why Shisheng came to the imperial capital star. Does it hurt? Shisheng looked at the marks on his wrist. Feng Xi sat on the ground and shook his head. No. Seeing you, any pain is not worth mentioning. For the first time, Shisheng truly felt sorry for him. He wanted to carry him back and pamper him. I'm sorry for making you wait so long. Shisheng sat beside him and pulled him into his arms. Feng Xi carefully removed the chain and leaned half his body against Shisheng. No matter how long it took, I waited for you. That's enough. He paused. You'll take me out and stay with me forever, right? Shisheng planted a kiss on his forehead. I'll take you out and stay with you forever. My heart ached for Wasi. Was Wasi's identity a surprise? Was it a surprise? Ha 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 ha. Hashtag today's spicy ticket. Hashtag it's Friday, little cuties. It's the end of the month. There's no point in keeping the ticket. Hurry up and vote. Chapter 1390. During Shifeng's trip, Shisheng never left. Caesar thought that Feng Xi's power had disappeared, so he secretly ran in. Who knew that he would feel that power before he even got close? He didn't dare to go up and seek death. Shisheng, it's boring to wait anyway. Why don't you listen to me? Caesar's voice was amplified by the loudspeaker throughout the entire space. Shisheng looked at the empty space in annoyance and took out Xinxing. Block this place. Yes, master. Caesar. You can't play like this. Caesar watched as the holographic image in front of him turned blank. His eyes dimmed a little. With such a fast speed, it seemed that they were close. Shisheng asked Shifeng's location as usual. Where are you? Shifeng was a little confused. He walked a few steps and the image stabilized. Master, we encountered pirates. They have a super mecha. We were stopped. They saw the Shir family's logo and stopped? Yes. I know. I'll ask Xinxing to help you and rush back as fast as possible. Yes. With Xinxing's help, they interfered with the pirates' battleship system. Shi Fang got rid of the pirates and rushed back to the capital star as fast as possible. Shi Fang didn't dare to enter the passage. As soon as he entered, he could feel the terrifying power just like Caesar. Shi Sheng had to go out and get it himself. Shi Fang held the box and didn't dare to hand it to Shi Sheng for a long time. Master, this thing. Shi Sheng looked at him calmly. Shi Fang gritted his teeth and handed the box over. Master, is he very important to you? Yes. Compared to. They can't be compared. Shi Sheng interrupted Shi Fang. Shi Fang wisely shut up and watched Shi Sheng enter the passage. Caesar reached out and patted Shi Fang's shoulder. Shi Fang looked at him coldly. Your Excellency Caesar, your hand is precious. It's better not to touch people like me. Caesar. Was it necessary? He withdrew his hand gloomily. Shi Fang now ignored him and walked straight out. He still had to deal with the pirates. Those pirates clearly knew that it was the Shi family, yet they still dared to stop him. There must be something fishy going on. Shi Sheng's notoriety not only made the people of the 6 major galaxies hate him, but also made the pirates gnash their teeth in hatred. However, they were also afraid of him. The blue planet was located at the edge of the Nether Galaxy, but the pirates had never dared to set their sights on the blue planet. Why were they so bold this time? Shi Sheng returned with the box. Feng Xi looked up, and his gaze landed on the box in her hands. What's that? Shi Sheng opened the box and took out the thing inside without saying a word. It was a string of light purple beads engraved with patterns that Feng Xi was very familiar with. It was exactly the same as the one on the watch she always wore for him. Shi Sheng put the bracelet on his hand. Feng Xi looked at her in confusion. The next second, someone grabbed his hand. Feng Xi's eyes widened slightly. He subconsciously struggled, but she held on very tightly. In the end, she simply pressed him under her body. She bent down beside his ear and said softly, "Don't move. Be good. Don't move. Be good." Feng Xi thought of what he did in that plane, and suddenly didn't dare to move. He was afraid that she wouldn't want him anymore. His vision suddenly turned black, and his consciousness gradually drifted away. He seemed to be able to hear her voice, but it wasn't clear. Shi Sheng made sure that Feng Xi was unconscious before letting him go. She reached out and grabbed one end of the chain. The moment she touched it, she felt a strong force surge into her body. Shi Sheng quickly controlled the force and guided it into the bracelet. However, the force was too strong, and the bracelet couldn't contain it all. The force that couldn't enter the bracelet all flowed into her body through her hand. That feeling was like being pierced by countless sharp blades in an instant. It also felt like being burned by a raging fire. Crack! Crack! Cracks appeared on the chain and bracelet at the same time. Shi Sheng quickly took out an iron sword and cut off the chains on Feng Xi's hands and feet. The moment the chains completely broke, Shi Sheng's body suddenly fell backward. The bracelet on his wrist fell apart and rolled around. Shi Sheng stared at the bracelet. After a few seconds, he propped himself up and stood up. She picked up the bracelets one by one and put them back into the box. Then she carried Feng Xi out of this place. Caesar was waiting at the door. When he saw her come out, he looked like he had seen a ghost. Shi Sheng, are you okay? Shi Sheng pursed his lips and didn't say anything. He walked around him with a cold expression and walked out. Shi Sheng, are you taking him away? Caesar hurriedly followed him. At this moment, he actually felt the force in his body. You still haven't heard me. Shi Sheng didn't even stop walking. Caesar kept talking behind him, but he didn't get any response. He didn't know whether to stop her or not. If he stopped her, she would definitely get angry and do something crazy. He didn't dare to imagine. But if he didn't stop her, what should he do next? So annoying. Should he stop her or not? While Caesar was in a dilemma, Shi Sheng had already disappeared from his sight. In the hotel, the sunlight shone in through the window and fell on the face of the young man on the bed. His fair skin was crystal clear and covered with a layer of faint light. He looked incomparably sacred. His long eyelashes brushed a small fan-shaped shadow. His lips were like cherry blossoms in April, suffused with a seductive light pink color. The young man's eyelashes trembled. He slowly opened his eyes. There was a moment of confusion in his eyes. He looked like a fairy who had fallen into the mortal world, and didn't know what to do. However, in the next second, endless coldness gushed out from the depths of his eyes. An invisible force spread out from his body. The things in the room were rustling. There seemed to be some movement outside the door, but no one pushed it open. After a while, Feng Xiai propped himself up. He had changed into a very soft t-shirt, and was only wearing a pair of underwear. The quilt on his body was like silk. Where was she? Feng Xiai got off the bed and looked around the room. He couldn't find anyone. A strong murderous aura gushed out from his body. Everything in the room was destroyed. He walked towards the door. The t-shirt covered his thighs and blocked the places that shouldn't be seen. However, his perfectly curved legs were completely exposed. His hand was just about to touch the door handle. Before he could turn it, the door handle was pushed down by itself. A familiar face appeared in his line of sight. Shisheng came in and closed the door. His gaze fell on his exposed legs. He said in an unfriendly tone, "Where do you think you're going?" "To find you." The young man's voice was gentle. It was no longer hoarse. It was like a gentle spring breeze that swept away all the filth in the world. It was clear and lively. Shisheng was silent for a moment. "Why aren't you wearing pants? I left a change of clothes beside the bed for you." "It's broken." Feng Xiai pinched the corner of his t-shirt. How could a new one be broken? Shisheng looked behind him. The corner of his mouth twitched. It looked like someone had kicked his ass. This is a fake group. Little fairy. Since the two of you have met, shouldn't you vote for him? Cherub, beg us. Little fairy, please. Cherub. Where's your integrity? Little fairy. For the dog. System. Shisheng. Buttface, why did you jump out? System, it's gone. System notification. The system has been disconnected. Chapter 1391. The news of Zhua Hao colluding with pirates was quickly posted on the Star Web. This Star Web was connected to the galactic mainframe, and was used by all 6 galaxies. Hence, everyone in the 6 galaxies knew that Zhua Hao was colluding with pirates. Of course, some galaxies didn't know who Zhua Hao was, but the words colluding with pirates were enough for them to recognize him. The galactic pirates were hated by all galaxies. The public galactic law stated that colluding with galactic pirates was a death sentence. It was useless for anyone to say anything. Before Zhua Hao could understand what was going on, people from the law enforcement court had already come to arrest him. There was sufficient evidence. Even if he hired a maglev-trained lawyer, it wouldn't change anything. Just as everyone was condemning Zhua Hao, a few officials belonging to the royal family died silently. Shang Guanpu, the third prince, was the first to receive this news. Zhua Hao had just gotten into trouble, and the royal family had also gotten into trouble. If Shang Guanpu couldn't think of anything, he would have climbed to this position for nothing. He hurried to the palace to meet him. After listening to Shang Guanpu's report, His Majesty the Lucky Mascot was very annoyed. He roared at Shang Guanpu. "Are they sick?" Shang Guanpu. "How was this sick? This was simply crazy." His Majesty the Lucky Mascot calmed down. "Who died?" "They were all Big Brother's men." "Bastard." His Majesty the Lucky Mascot scolded. "He doesn't do his job all day long, and now he's doing his job. What is he trying to do?" Who knew what he was trying to do? His Majesty the Lucky Mascot sighed. "Let's leave this matter at that. We won't interfere." "What about Big Brother?" Shang Guanpu hesitated. Were they giving up on Big Brother? His Majesty the Lucky Mascot's gaze turned fierce. "I can't risk the entire Imperial planet for him. Third Brother, I have high hopes for you. You can't be soft-hearted at this time. If you want to sit in this position, you won't last long." He had a total of 4 children. Fourth brother was ruthless and smart, but he died early. Third brother was smart, but his personality was a little soft and indecisive. Second brother was addicted to mecha manufacturing and couldn't be seen 365 days a year. Big brother was ruthless, but his actions were too absurd and arrogant. This kind of person couldn't sit in this position. His only successor was his third brother. Lucky Mascot Majesty continued. "Look at Shisheng. She used to have nothing. How did she get to where she is today?" Does Imperial Father mean for me to be as cold-blooded and heartless as her? I'm not asking you to be cold-blooded and heartless. I'm asking you to learn from her ruthlessness. Be decisive and don't be indecisive. Lucky Mascot King sighed. Shi Sheng may be arrogant, but she has the capital. The entire Shi family is under her control. If she says 1, it's 1. If she says 2, it's 2. No one can refute her. However, our empire is different. The various powers are complex, so you must not learn from them. Although she makes people gnash their teeth in hatred, she still has a lot of redeeming qualities. Go back and slowly think about it. Lucky Mascot His Majesty waved his hand. There were some things that he could not say too clearly. He had to let him figure it out on his own. Shangguanpu was dumbfounded. Seeing that His Majesty the Lucky Mascot didn't want to say anything more, he bowed slightly. Yes. The royal family chose not to see it, so the dead officials were naturally dealt with secretly. They were not in the right in the first place. Those people attacked her first, so it was normal for her to retaliate. If they could avoid trouble, it would be better. They did not want to go against the Shi family's Zhanlong guards and experience another bloodbath in the capital star. Feng Xiai stayed in the hotel for a few days. The wounds on his hands and feet were almost healed, but Shi Sheng insisted on applying medicine on them every day until there were no traces left. Shi Sheng accompanied him every day. When he closed his eyes, the last person he saw was her. When he opened his eyes, she was also the first person he saw. Feng Xiai stared at the person beside him, and carefully reached out to trace the side of her face. The corners of his lips curled up slightly, and his whole face suddenly became evil. Shi Sheng frowned. Feng Xiai immediately stopped smiling and waited for her to open her eyes with an innocent expression. Feng Xiai. Shi Sheng brushed his hand away from her face. It's so early in the morning. Can't you behave? She opened her eyes and met the young man's gaze. It was clear and gentle, like the vast starry sky that contained everything in the world. But when you really entered it, you would find that it was full of danger. Shi Sheng knew that his nature was not like this, but she liked him like this. He was like a little sun that shone brightly, bringing warmth and sunshine to her. She knew that she was selfish, but she had no choice. She only wanted him like this. Feng Xiai pecked her face. I'm right in front of you. What are you thinking? Shi Sheng pulled him into her arms. Do you think it's hard? Feng Xiai leaned his face against her chest and listened to her heartbeat. Feng Xiai moved to the side uncomfortably. As long as I'm with you, I'm willing to do anything, even if you have to hide your true nature. Feng Xi's fingertips trembled and his eyelashes drooped. Yes, I'm willing. He was the one who admitted defeat first, so he had to compromise. Love did not require two people to be strong. If he did not show weakness, they would never be together. Shi Sheng sighed. It feels good to be able to hug you every day. It feels good to be able to be with you. Feng Xi's hand moved up Shi Sheng's waist. Before he could take advantage of her, Shi Sheng let go of him. Feng Xiai watched in disappointment as she got off the bed and lay on the bed, unwilling to move. Shi Sheng stood beside the bed for a few seconds before changing his clothes. Don't look like you're not satisfied. Shi Sheng had already changed his clothes. He crossed his arms and looked at Feng Xiai. Get up. Feng Xi's face suddenly turned red. Who was not satisfied? He was not. He turned to the side and pulled the blanket over his head. Shi Sheng. The female lead was hopeless. By the time Shi Sheng brought breakfast in, Feng Xiai was still lying in bed, pretending to be dead. Shi Sheng called out to him a few times, but he didn't come out from under the blankets. Shi Sheng could only go up and pull the blankets away, revealing his head. His face was red from holding it in under the blankets. He looked at Shi Sheng with the expression of a proud little princess who needed coaxing. You're breaking the rules. Shi Sheng sighed. How could he look like this? Feng Xiai wrapped his arms around her neck and raised his chin slightly, waiting for her to kiss him. You haven't brushed your teeth. Shi Sheng refused. She did not want him to get off the bed as they kissed. Feng Xi's face darkened. Are you disgusted with me? Of course not. Then kiss me. Feng Xiai moved closer to Shi Sheng. Shi Sheng. Feng Xiai looked like he was throwing a tantrum. I don't care. I won't get up until you kiss me. Shisheng was helpless. I really owe you. Feng Xi's lips curled up. You owe me, right? Since he had compromised, it would be a huge loss if he did not get back some interest. Asterisk the second last day of the month. Those who still have monthly votes, vote now. Double the votes. Chapter 1392. When Shifeng came in, Feng Xiai was sitting at the table eating breakfast. He was still wearing his pajamas, and there was a faint red mark on his neck. Shifeng was shocked. Master in him, Feng Xi's hand that was holding the spoon paused, and his gaze drifted to Shifeng. The corners of his lips curled up slightly, and an evil aura seeped out from his body. His entire person became flirtatious, and his pitch-black eyes were filled with a sinister and treacherous aura. That gaze was not as innocent and clear as when he faced the patriarch. You're so early. Is something the matter? Shisheng's voice traveled over. Feng Xiai lowered his head and ate his porridge as if nothing had happened. The creepy feeling in the air disappeared. Shifeng's heartbeat seemed to slow down by half a beat. This man. Shisheng saw that Shifeng was staring blankly and couldn't help but glare at Feng Xiai. Feng Xiai smiled innocently at him and handed the empty bowl to her. Drink another bowl. Ah. Feng Xiai blinked. But I'm full. Drink another bowl. Shisheng emphasized. Feng Xiai knew that acting cute was useless, so he could only scoop up the porridge with a spoon. When Shisheng wasn't paying attention, he glanced at Shifeng maliciously. Shifeng shuddered and quickly scurried to the wall. Master, His Excellency Caesar has been waiting for you downstairs for several days. When do you think you can meet him? He didn't want to pass on this message at all, but Caesar and the sticky candy stuck to him. It was annoying. If you're asking for help, you should have the attitude of asking for help. He dared to scheme against I. Let him wait. Shifeng didn't want to stay any longer. After receiving Shisheng's words, he left the room without another word. Feng Xiai was still eating porridge. Shisheng went up and pinched his ear. You don't like Shifeng? I don't like anyone around you, Feng Xiai said vaguely. Regardless of gender, age or age. Shisheng pulled out a chair and sat down. I don't usually bring them around. This time, I came to the capital planet to find you just in case. Did you come here just to find me? What else? If it wasn't necessary, she wouldn't have stepped into this place. Feng Xiai seemed to be a little happier. He pushed the bowl towards the Shisheng and said coquettishly, I don't want to drink anymore. Shisheng took the bowl from him and finished the rest of the soup in 2 or 3 bites. There seemed to be a smile in Feng Xi's eyes as he cupped his face with both hands and looked at her. Shisheng asked the robot to take the bowl away. She's one of my people. Be careful. Oh. Feng Xiai answered casually, obviously not taking it to heart. Shisheng glanced at him and changed the topic. Are you going to dress like this when we go out later? Going out? Shisheng raised his eyebrows. You don't want to go out? Feng Xiai thought for a moment. I also want to see what this world is like. Feng Xiai was not from this world. From the holographic image, it could be seen that the energy in his body was very similar to spiritual energy, but it was also filled with evil energy. It was very strange. She had no idea where he came from or why he was here. But what did it matter? He was by her side now. Shisheng took Feng Xiai downstairs. Shifeng wanted to follow, but Shisheng was afraid that Feng Xiai would cause trouble and told them not to. Feng Xiai glanced at the various objects. It was just a glance, which meant that he was not interested. When he paused, Shisheng would explain to him what the objects were. Shisheng. Ji Yi came in with Ji Xian. They bumped into each other, so Ji Yi had to greet him. He glanced at Feng Xiai and had a strange look on his face. At the summit, she said that she wanted this person. Not long after, she brought him back, but no one had seen him before. The others were very nervous. If this person was really the person who destroyed countless planets like Ji-Na said, then wouldn't his appearance mean danger? However, the people from the Space Administration came out and told them not to worry too much. As long as Shisheng was here, he wouldn't do anything. The past few days seemed peaceful, but in fact, everyone was watching. Today was the first time she brought someone out. Unexpectedly, it was such a cute young man. Shisheng, is he why you came to the capital star? Ji Yi found his voice after a long while. It's none of your business. Shisheng walked past them with Feng Xiai. Feng Xiai kept his head down. When Shisheng walked past Ji Yi, he suddenly looked up and looked at Ji Yi. At that moment, Ji Yi felt that the air around him seemed to freeze. Murderous intent filled the entire space. Feng Xiai. The young man looked away and obediently followed Shisheng out of Ji Yi's sight. Ji Yi didn't hear Ji Xian's cry until they were out of sight. He subconsciously pinched Ji Xian's hand until it turned red. Ji Yi quickly let go of Ji Xian. I'm sorry, Xiaoxian. Ji Xian's face turned pale as if she was frightened. She whispered, Brother Yi, those two people were so scary. It's okay. Ji Yi touched Ji Xian's head and comforted her gently. We won't see them again. After Ji Yi comforted Ji Xian, Yanlin knocked on the door and asked him to go next door. Ji Yi thought he was alone. He didn't expect Jin Shi to be there too. Patriarch Yin gestured for Ji Yi to sit. Patriarch Ji, did you see that young man? Ji Yi looked up at Patriarch Yin. His eyes changed and he nodded slightly. I did. How did it feel? It's hard to describe. Ji Yi didn't know how to describe it. He just knew that it was dangerous. Jin Shi slammed the table and shouted. He's evil, just like Shisheng. This person destroyed so many planets. According to the interstellar law, he should be dead hundreds of times. Ji Yi didn't answer. Instead, he looked at Patriarch Yin. Patriarch Yin, do you have something to discuss with me? Patriarch Yin chuckled. Nothing. I just wanted to ask how you feel. The imperial family is pretending to be dead. They don't want to offend her. But she has a suspected dangerous person with her. We have to make plans. We can't beat her. What plans do we have? Jin Shi said straightforwardly. Don't tell me you want us to bow down to her and rely on the Shi family from now on? Patriarch Yin sighed. Didn't I call you here to discuss it? No matter what, the 6 families should unite against the outside world. Unite my ass. Jin Shi continued to slam the table and shouted with a red face. Look at Mu Yi. What the hell is he? It's good enough that he didn't betray us. And the Zhong family, they only care about themselves. If this goes on, they'll be finished sooner or later. Ji Yi said lightly. We can't count on the Mu family. They've long been estranged from us. As for the Zhong family, they're weak. There's nothing wrong with protecting themselves. Patriarch Yin nodded. The situation is a bit unclear now. We can't make any decisions easily. I called you here today to discuss it. If something really happens, we'll be mentally prepared. Jin Shi and Ji Yi looked at each other. Ji Yi spoke first. Grandpa Yen, did you get any warning? The Yen family was good at divination and deduction. Chaos is coming. There will always be a time. Chapter 1393. What do you mean? Jin Shi stared at the head of the Yen family. The head of the Yen family shook his head. I don't understand either, but I'm sure it has something to do with the Shi family and Shisheng. Ji Yi hit the nail on the head. What do you mean by chaotic times? Is she going to start a war? The head of the Yen family continued to shake his head. There were many descriptions of chaotic times. No one knew what would happen until then. The 3 of them fell silent. This was going to be fun. In the interstellar era, the majority of people had already abandoned the habit of eating ordinary food. They had switched to eating nutritious food that contained high energy and was beneficial to their bodies, or the meat of beasts that were the specialty of certain planets. The meat of these beasts wasn't very good, but it contained high amounts of energy. It was beneficial to their mental energy and body. Therefore, there were not many restaurants on the streets. Even if there were, they were very high-end and intimidating. Feng Xiai did not eat nutrient solutions, let alone animal meat. Shisheng was not familiar with the imperial capital planet, so it took him a long time to find a restaurant. She looked at the signboard and made sure she had found the right one. Then, she pushed the door open and entered. The wind chimes hanging on the door jingled. Welcome, a gentle female voice said. Feng Xiai looked around but did not see anyone. Shisheng pointed at a semicircular object above the door. It was an automatic welcome system. Someone walked out of the room. Welcome, what do you want to eat? It was a woman who came out. After speaking, she looked up and her eyes widened. She called out in disbelief, Xiaosheng. You. Shisheng smiled. The woman was old and had wrinkles at the corners of her eyes, but it was not hard to tell that she was a beauty when she was young. The woman walked up to Shisheng and was so excited that she did not know where to put her hands. Xiaosheng, it's really you. I thought I would never see you again. It's great that I can see you again. Don't just stand there, come in and sit. This is... Yu Chang's gaze fell on Feng Xi. Shisheng pushed Feng Xi forward. Feng Xi, my partner. Feng Xi was about to release a murderous aura, but after hearing Shisheng's words, it did not overflow. Partner? Yu Chang was stunned. Then she smiled. That's good. You should have someone with you. Quick, child, sit inside. Yu Chang led them to a private room. When she went out to get some water, Shisheng leaned over to Feng Xi. She's my only elder, do you understand? Feng Xi nodded obediently. Got it. Yu Chang came in with a glass of water. I heard that you were coming back, but you didn't come, so I couldn't see you. I didn't expect you to come today. I didn't prepare anything, and I don't know what this child likes to eat. How about I make something that I'm good at? You, there's no rush. I'm hungry. Shisheng. Yu Chang smiled, her face full of kindness. Then you will cook for you first. We'll talk as we eat. Take a seat first. After Yu Chang left, Shisheng pinched Feng Xi. Feng Xi looked at her pitifully. I'm really hungry. Seeing her pitiful look, Shisheng's heart immediately softened, but he still kept a straight face. Show some respect. Kiss me. Don't mess around. Feng Xi looked at Shisheng without blinking. Shisheng sighed and kissed him on the cheek. Alright, don't go overboard. Otherwise, I'll teach you a lesson when we get back. Feng Xi's lips curved into a smile as he drank water from his cup. Yu Chang quickly came out with a few side dishes. Feng Xi was very picky, but looking at Shisheng's gaze, he ate silently. If he didn't eat, he wouldn't pick up anything. Xiaosheng, try it. I don't know if you're still used to it after so many years. Yu Chang scooped a bowl of rice for Shisheng. I'm not picky. Feng Xi's hand paused, and he continued eating. So what if I'm picky? You still have to dote on me. Yu Chang chuckled. Yes. You're not picky. You don't look like. Shisheng's hand that was holding chopsticks paused. Yu Chang stopped in time and changed the topic. Xiaosheng, how have you been all these years? Pretty good. It's good that you're doing well. You is old. It's a blessing to see you start a family while I'm still alive. Yu Chang looked at Feng Xi. Feng Xi put away the darkness on him. At this moment, he looked like a shiny cherub. No matter how one looked at him, he was likable. I'll hold a wedding with him when I get back. You, come and witness our marriage then. Feng Xi turned to look at Shisheng. Hold a wedding with him? But she hadn't mentioned it before. Feng Xi was a little unhappy. She wasn't the first to tell him. He instantly felt a little annoyed at Yu Chang. Shisheng grabbed his hand from under the table and squeezed it hard. The latter immediately grabbed his hand and wrote a few words in her palm. Shisheng. He wanted to drag him out and beat him up. Okay, as long as Xiaosheng doesn't mind, you will definitely go. Yu Chang smiled happily. Hurry up and eat. Don't just talk. The dishes are cold. Child, are the dishes to your liking? The last sentence was directed at Feng Xi. Feng Xi did not move. When Shisheng gestured for him to agree, he looked up and squeezed out a smile. It's very delicious. Yu Chang heaved a sigh of relief. Eat more if it's delicious. I'm afraid you won't be used to it. Yu Chang asked Shisheng about some trivial matters in life, and did not ask about her in the Shi family. The two of them chatted casually. After Feng Xi finished eating, he sat down quietly, but his hand did not let go of Shisheng. It's getting late. You will go back first. I'll send someone to pick you up when the wedding is held. Okay, you wait for me. Yu Chang stood up. Xiaosheng, can I talk to you alone? Shisheng looked at Feng Xi, who looked at her innocently. I'll be back soon. Feng Xiai hesitated for a moment before letting go. Shisheng kissed him on the forehead and followed Yu Chang to another room. Xiaosheng, is that child trustworthy? Yu Chang's worries, which she had not revealed earlier, were all revealed now. With her current status, she could not afford to make any mistakes. Auntie Yu, he won't betray me. Auntie Yu knows that you know what you're doing, but I still have to remind you. You must investigate his background and identity. You're standing too high. There are countless people who want your life. Auntie Yu doesn't have much to think about now. I just want you to be well. Thank you, Auntie Yu. I'll be careful. Shisheng's gaze softened, and his smile was genuine. Yu Chang reached out and hugged Shisheng. Wait for a while. Auntie Yu has something for you. Shisheng nodded. Yu Chang walked out of the room and saw Feng Xiai standing outside. She was stunned for a moment before walking over hesitantly. Child, Xiaosheng's temper isn't very good. You should go along with her more. Don't go against her. She'll listen to you no matter what. Don't betray her either. Feng Xiai raised his chin slightly, as if he wanted to look at Yu Chang in a superior manner. However, when he thought about how she was the only elder Shisheng had mentioned, he could only restrain himself. I will. Asterisk 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 hashtag today's 1000-layer flavor ticket hashtag there's a May Day campaign for book review hashtag monthly votes hashtag double hashtag. Chapter 1394. Yu Chang quickly came back with something. It was a square Rubik's Cube, but it was bigger than a normal Rubik's Cube. This is... Yu Chang paused. Little Chu prepared this a long time ago, but she didn't have time to give it to you. Today, Auntie Yu decided to give it to you as a wedding gift. Shisheng looked at the Rubik's Cube for a long time before taking it. Thank you, Auntie Yu. Little Chu will be happy if she knows you're married. Yu Chang looked sad. Shisheng held the Rubik's Cube tightly. Auntie Yu, I'll leave first. Yu Chang quickly sniffed. Oh, okay. Auntie Yu will walk you out. Shisheng and Yu Chang came out of the room. She naturally held Feng Xi's hand. Auntie Yu, you don't have to walk us out. We'll go out ourselves. Yu Chang just smiled and nodded. She walked them to the door, but she didn't go out. Perhaps she was afraid that she would be sad if she saw her leave. Shisheng and Feng Xiai walked side by side out of the old alley. Feng Xiai glanced at the Rubik's Cube in her hand several times. Why didn't you take her away from here? Everyone has their own way of living. I can't force my will on others. Living here is her original wish. Shisheng looked down at the Rubik's Cube for a moment before putting it away. Let's go. It's time to go back. Shisheng hadn't even returned to the hotel when Shifeng frantically called her. Clanhead, something's happened at Frost Moon Street. Someone brought explosive items into Frost Moon Street, causing it to be engulfed in flames. From Shifeng's image, he could see the thick fire behind him. Shisheng stared behind him for a long time without saying anything. Shifeng didn't dare to make a sound either. He held his breath and waited for Shisheng's orders. Shifeng waited for a long time until Shisheng hung up. He turned to look at the fire in the distance. It was a blatant provocation. After Shisheng hung up, he changed the route to Frost Moon Street. She suddenly reached out her hand. Let me hug you. Feng Xiai immediately leaned over and hugged her. Her breathing was slow, as if it was no different from usual. But Feng Xiai felt a chill. She must be very angry now. Why? Frost Moon Street? What was there? Some random thoughts appeared in Feng Xi's mind. She didn't say anything until the hover car came to a stop. Then she let go of him. Her expression was normal, and there was nothing wrong with her at all. When she opened the car door, Feng Xiai grabbed her and kissed her on the back of her head. Shisheng was stunned for a moment. When Feng Xiai pried open her mouth, she regained her senses and seized control of the situation. When Feng Xi's face turned red, she let go of him. I'm fine. Stay in the car. I'll be back soon. Feng Xiai obviously didn't intend to listen. When she got out of the car, he immediately followed. Shisheng stood opposite him and looked at him. Feng Xiai immediately put on an innocent expression. He knew that she hated seeing him like this. Shisheng shook his head and waved at him. Feng Xiai eagerly ran over and reached out to hold her hand. His fingertips slipped through the gaps between her fingers, and their fingers intertwined. The fire was still burning in the distance, and the army and medical teams were everywhere trying to evacuate the crowd. Shisheng found Shifeng's location. He led a small group of Zhanlong guards and looked at the people who were escaping. However, he did not help. He was as cold as a robot. Patriarch. Who did it? Shifeng kept a distance from Feng Xiai. I'm not sure. They're all dead. Not even their ashes are left. The center of the explosion was at the Xia household. Shisheng narrowed his eyes and sneered. Pirates, explosion. Patriarch sure. Sheng Guanpu led the imperial family over from the side. Shisheng looked at him coldly. Third prince, who dared to self-destruct right under your nose. Don't blow up the capital star. Sheng Guanpu broke out in cold sweat. She meant that it was the imperial family who did it, but the latter part was a blatant threat. He quickly clarified. Patriarch sure, I can guarantee you with my status as the crown prince that it has nothing to do with the imperial family. Shisheng sneered. That better be the case. Third prince broke out in cold sweat. Patriarch sure, we will definitely investigate this matter. Let's go back. Shifeng was a little surprised. Just like that? But Shisheng didn't seem to be easy to talk to, so he didn't dare to say anything. He led the Zhanlong guards and followed Shisheng out of this chaotic place. Sheng Guanpu watched them leave. He wiped off his cold sweat and ordered the people behind him. Control the situation. Don't let anyone stir up trouble. Everyone. The 12th summit hadn't even ended yet, and such a thing had already happened. Luckily, the location of the explosion was at a sensitive place like Frost Moon Street. Wasn't someone deliberately looking for trouble? Shisheng returned to the hotel. Patriarch Yan Jinshi and Ji Yi were waiting at the hotel entrance. They had obviously received the news. Patriarch Yan stood up as a representative to stop her. Patriarch sure, we will also help investigate the explosion at Frost Moon Street. What are you trying to do? Shisheng looked at them. How could this group of people be so kind? Patriarch Yan's mouth twitched. Patriarch sure, we are one. We are bound together for good or ill. Patriarch sure, you should understand this, right? Don't. You guys are very skilled at backstabbing. Patriarch Yan looked embarrassed. Our families didn't participate in the incident back then. Yes, you didn't help either. Shisheng's expression turned even colder. Now you're telling me that we are bound together for good or ill. Don't you think it's funny? Patriarch sure, our families also suffered heavy losses back then. We can't even take care of ourselves. How could we have the time to save the Xia family and Xia Chu? Jean, she couldn't take it anymore. Shisheng's sharp gaze swept over him. The aura gene she had just gathered suddenly deflated like a deflated balloon under her gaze. Then let's go our separate ways. Shisheng pulled Feng Xiai inside. Shifeng and the others followed behind her dutifully, quickly blocking Patriarch Yan's line of sight. Patriarch sure. Ji Yi stopped Patriarch Yan. Patriarch Yan, don't say any more. Patriarch Yan sighed. The incident at Frost Moon Street is obviously provoking her. It's really going to be chaotic. Jin Shi's expression was a little ugly. If it weren't for her, Frost Moon Street would have been torn down long ago. Today's incident wouldn't have happened. Who knows how many people would have died. Her purpose of keeping Frost Moon Street is not to commemorate the Xia family and Xia Chu. Ji Ye's voice seemed to be tinged with the vicissitudes of life. She's reminding those people and us that there used to be a Xia family, one of the 7 major families, not the 6. How did Xia Chu and her meet? Jin Shi scratched his head and said in annoyance. Back then, she massacred the capital star for Xia Chu. I don't know. When I met Xia Chu, she was already Xia Chu's regular. You and Xia Chu met at the Xia family's banquet to announce the successor, right? Patriarch Yin frowned. Xia Chu was still very young back then. How did she know Xia Chu so early? Yes, I didn't expect it either. In public, she never interacted with Xia Chu at all. I only found out about it later. No one knew how Xia Chu and Shisheng met. If it weren't for the massacre on the capital star, no one would have known that Xia Chu and Shisheng were so close. Asterisk second male lead? Are you kidding me? I won't write a second male lead, so don't even think about it. Chapter 1395. Feng Xiai looked at the person sitting in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, twisting the Rubik's Cube slowly. He paced back and forth in frustration. Feng Xiai, be quiet. Shisheng's voice suddenly rang out. Feng Xiai calmed himself down and sat down beside him. Who is he? Who is this Xiachu they're talking about? Shisheng twisted the Rubik's Cube slowly. Do you remember the story I told you in the world where you were Yan Lv? Feng Xiai thought for a moment. I remember. Her name is Xiachu. Shisheng added. She's a girl. Feng Xiai heaved a sigh of relief. Shisheng put down the Rubik's Cube and lay on Feng Xi's lap. He looked sideways at the colorful world outside the floor-to-ceiling window. I met her on the battlefield. She secretly ran out with her brother, but was locked in the warship storage room. At that time, you could say that I was running for my life. At that time, Xiachu was still a little princess. She had a brother who doted on her, so she didn't need to do anything. It wasn't the first time she sneaked out, but she didn't expect to be locked up. The storage room was dark and there was no light. The little girl was so scared that she cried, waking up Shisheng, who was in a coma. Shisheng was already exhausted from running for his life. When he was suddenly woken up by the crying, he subconsciously wanted to kill the other party. However, when the other party saw him, her first reaction was to stop crying. Because there was someone with her, she wasn't afraid anymore. Shisheng wasn't in a good state at that time. He wanted to kill her, but he didn't have the strength. She wanted to live, so she gave up on killing Xiachu. She ordered her to open the storage room door and let her find medicine for her. At that time, she mostly used Xiachu. There was no reason, because she wanted to live. Xiachu really did find medicine. It wasn't very effective, but it could reduce her pain. The little girl was afraid that she would die, so she didn't even look for her brother. She watched over her all day. When someone entered the storage room, she carefully hid her. When no one was around, she would get her out and lie down. Later, they were still discovered. Xiachu was protected by her brother, so she was fine. However, she was different. Her identity was unknown. She appeared on a warship on a mission and was caught as a spy. She had already thought of a way to escape, but she did not expect Xiachu to beg her brother to get her out. Because of this incident, his brother was condemned by many people, but because of his high military rank, no one dared to mention it. Xiachu was a person who could not stay idle. When her injury was almost healed, she kidnapped her and drove her out in a fighter jet. At that time, Shisheng had not been on the battlefield, so he did not know the cruelty of the battlefield. The little girl begged him pitifully and promised that she would not leave the safety line. Perhaps she was not fully recovered, so she agreed. If she could choose again, she would definitely not agree to Xiachu's request at that time. Fighter jets were not mecha. Their defensive capabilities and combat capabilities were not that strong. Most of the time, fighter jets would follow behind the mecha and wait for the mecha troops to finish fighting before they would enter the battlefield. They were discovered by the enemy and trapped. Xiachu's brother received the news and came alone to save them. In that battle, Xiachu lost her brother. From then on, that innocent little girl died in that war. Xiachu knew clearly why her brother died. It was because of her stubbornness and her naivety. Without her brother, Xiachu's life in the Xia family was not easy, but she could not back down. She wanted to become someone like her brother. Perhaps it was because Xiachu saved Shisheng without warning, so Shisheng helped her wherever he could. Xiachu had saved her many times, and she had saved Xiachu many times. To me, she was a family member and a friend. Shisheng hugged Feng Xi's waist and buried his face in his lower abdomen. Auntie Yu was Xiachu's aunt. After Xiachu's brother died, she was the only one who supported and encouraged Xiachu. How did she die? Shisheng lifted her head to look at Feng Xi. His face clearly reflected in her eyes. Shisheng retracted his gaze and said calmly, "Our families all have ancient inheritances. Our bloodline can be traced back to the ancient Huaxia before the end of the Yuan dynasty. Some people coveted this power and tried to control it. The Xia family was good at manufacturing. The chains that bound Feng Xiai were made by Xia Chu. Although everyone knew the trump cards of each family, the principles behind them were not very clear. In short, the weapons and objects made by the Xia family all had special powers. If this power was used in the military, it was easy to imagine how powerful it would be. Xia Chu died because she trusted someone she shouldn't have. The Xia family died because all the forces wanted a piece of the pie. But in the end, Xia Chu went to hell with all the secrets of the Xia family. No one benefited. When I arrived, everyone in the Xia family was dead. I couldn't even find her body. The royal family knew that I was close to Xia Chu, but they were her accomplices and transferred me away from the capital star. Feng Xi's index finger gently brushed her neck. You're not someone who's so easily swayed by others. Shisheng sneered. You probably didn't expect that at that time. I still had dreams. I was a brainless and hot-blooded girl who was willing to protect the country and build a career. What about them? They gave me such a big gift, a gift that I'll never forget for the rest of my life. So she washed the capital star with blood and left. From then on, the life and death of the Nether Galaxy had nothing to do with her. When she was born, she was no different from other people. She had a pure and innocent heart. All her cold-bloodedness and heartlessness had been given to her by them. She had only made full use of what they had given her. Feng Xiai leaned over and looked at her solemnly and firmly, as if he was making an oath. It's okay. You have me in the future. Even if the road ahead is bumpy, I'll hold your hand tightly. We'll live and die together, share honor and disgrace, and live together for the rest of our lives. Live and die together, share honor and disgrace, and live together for the rest of our lives. Shisheng grinned. The haze in her eyes was covered by a smile. She said okay. Feng Xiai gently hugged Shisheng. I'll be here with you every day from now on. Shisheng was slightly flustered. She didn't respond to Feng Xiai and only hugged him tighter. After all these years, he was the only thing she didn't want to let go of. Shisheng couldn't remember when Feng Xiai had lowered his head and kissed her. She only remembered that his eyes were slightly misty as he asked in a hoarse voice, "Can I?" Shisheng was amused. We're already at this point. What do you think? Feng Xiai was trembling slightly. He was nervous and cautious. If they didn't count the times they used their virtual bodies, this was their first time doing it. It was normal for him to be nervous. However, Shisheng was helpless to let him continue being nervous. Why don't I do it? She asked tentatively. After all, she was afraid that her wife would be angry. No. But Feng Xiai suddenly glared at her. Oh. Why are you glaring at me? At this time, she had been holding it in for a long time. Chapter 1396. The royal family quickly gave Shisheng a report on Frost Moon Street. According to the investigation, a man had brought the explosives in, but that man was an illegal resident and had no identification. He had been brought to the capital by a merchant ship. After getting off the ship, he went straight to Frost Moon Street, and then there was an explosion. It was the 12th summit now, and they had caught many people who wanted to cause trouble. But this was the first time that the entire Frost Moon Street was blown up. The impact was extremely bad. The merchant ship had been called by the royal family to investigate, and they would continue to send news to her. Shisheng really didn't care about Frost Moon Street. The purpose of leaving Frost Moon Street was similar to what Ji Yi had said. It was to make those people angry, but there was nothing they could do. Therefore, even if Frost Moon Street was blown up, she didn't have any strange reaction. She asked people to pack up and prepare to return to the Blue Planet. Master, this matter is definitely not over. Are we leaving just like that? Shifeng was a little confused. There was a 99% chance that Frost Moon Street was blown up for the master. Shisheng just smiled faintly. Whether it's a ghost or a demon, just wait for it to come out. Since she couldn't find out, why waste her time investigating? If she didn't do anything, someone would be anxious. Send a team of Zhanlong guards to Antyu. Also, give this to Antyu and let her carry it with her. Remind her that it might be dangerous to stay on the capital planet. If she wants, take her back to the Blue Planet with us. If she doesn't want to, don't force her. Shifeng took the brocade bag from Shisheng. Yes. Shifeng selected a small team of Zhanlong guards and ordered them to protect Aunt Yu. Shifeng watched the Zhanlong guards leave, and his heart sank. Something was going to happen soon. Shifeng turned around, and his eyes suddenly met the young man standing in the corridor. He stared at him coldly. The young man who was like a cherub in front of the master was now like a demon, exuding a dark and vicious aura. Shifeng's body trembled. What did he want? The young man looked at him for a full minute. He put his hands in his pockets and walked over from the corridor. His voice was clear but full of malice. She asked you to get ready and leave in an hour. Shifeng immediately thought that it was impossible. If the patriarch wanted to order him to do something, he would most likely ask Shisheng or himself to call him. Just as Shifeng was thinking about this, Shisheng's message appeared on his personal terminal. The message was the same as what the young man in front of him had said, except that he added a message telling the young man to scram. He didn't misinterpret it. That was how he typed those words. Tell Feng Xiai to get back here. Shifeng didn't dare to speak to Feng Xiai like that, so he could only send the message to the void and let the young man read it himself. The young man glanced at him indifferently and turned around as if nothing had happened. The sound of his footsteps was especially clear in the corridor. Shifeng watched the young man's figure disappear through the door, and the oppressive aura in the corridor dissipated. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief and send a message to Shisheng. Is that Feng Xiai really all right? No, Master likes it very much. Seeing the words Master likes it very much, Shifeng fell silent. He quickly typed out a row of words and deleted them. He repeated it several times before he was done typing. I feel that the way he acts in front of the patriarch is not his true self. Yes, Master likes him like that. Otherwise, Master would chop him to death. Shifeng. What the hell was going on? So what was his true self? You can refer to Master. He will be whatever Master is like. He might even be scarier than Master. Anyway, I don't think he's a good person. He's a good match for Master. The most important thing is that he's willing to give up all his arrogance for Master and become what Master likes. I have high hopes for him. After chatting with Shisheng, Shifeng was in a bad mood. What the hell was this future wife of the patriarch? The 12th summit hadn't ended yet, but Shisheng left with the Zhanlong guards. The ordinary people of the capital star were naturally happy. They could only breathe a sigh of relief after she left. Who knew if she would have a screw loose and cause another bloodbath? But the people who attended the 12th summit weren't calm. She didn't leave alone. She also brought along the N1 that could be called a human-shaped killing machine. Because she said at the summit that she wanted that person. Even if they objected, it was useless. But it was different now. If she really left with that human figure, who knew what would happen in the future? So when Shisheng arrived at the port, the various forces brought people to block her. The people from the royal family weren't there. They probably didn't want to participate, and were used to being cowards. Everyone, what's the meaning of this? Shifeng got out of the car and looked at the big shots standing in a row in front of him with a serious expression. He didn't lose to them in terms of aura. A man stood up. This man had been scolded by Shisheng at the summit. Now he stood up as a representative. He looked at the floating car behind Shifeng. Patriarch, sure, we don't have any objections to you leaving with the Zhanlong guards. But I'm afraid it's inappropriate for you to take N1 with you. Everyone waited for a while before Shisheng opened the car door and asked arrogantly, "What's inappropriate about it? Did he eat your rice or use your money?" Everyone. Patriarch, sure, you know what he did. If you take him out of the capital star and something happens, how will you solve it? Shisheng said matter-of-factly. Oh, I'll help him. Even if he wants to blow up your nether galaxy, I'll help him. What else do you have to say? Your nether galaxy? You're not from the nether galaxy. The group was so angry that smoke came out of their heads. Patriarch, sure you. Shisheng was the first to explode. I must take him away today. If you're not convinced, you can come at me directly. Don't talk nonsense. If you don't dare to, then make way for I. These people only knew how to talk nonsense. How could they make such a small thing sound so evil? If you're so awesome, then come at me directly. What nonsense are you talking about? Everyone. They looked like they wanted to strangle her. But they could only think about it. They weren't strong enough to fight her directly. But they didn't want to let a human killing machine go just like that. It was a bit of a stalemate. Shisheng rolled up his sleeves and said angrily, "Are you looking for a beating?" Everyone moved to the side in unison and made a path for her. She was about to make a move. If they didn't move, they would die. The kind of death that wouldn't cost them their lives. Idiot. A group of people came to stop her, but they didn't manage to do so. Instead, they were scolded. Now they had to watch her leave. How did this scourge survive? Why didn't the heavens take her? Asterisk. This is a fake group. Red Crescent Galaxy. Nether Galaxy. I heard you were scolded again? Nether Galaxy, get lost. Red Crescent Galaxy. Smile. You're so angry. You must have been scolded quite badly, right? Nether Galaxy. Get lost. For great galaxies, sit and watch. Red Crescent Galaxy. Get lost. Nether Galaxy. Get lost. For great galaxies. Black face with a question mark. System. You don't even have a name. You don't deserve to appear on screen. For great galaxies. Little Fairy didn't give us a name. Are you blaming us? Little Fairy. Too lazy to do so. For great galaxies. Hee too lazy to vote. Little Fairy. Then you'll never have a name. For great galaxies. System. I knew we'd end up here. Chapter 1397. Yu Chang didn't come. Shisheng knew this would happen, so he asked everyone to leave the Imperial planet as soon as they arrived. Caesar arrived with Jina, only to see a bunch of idiots cursing and swearing at Shisheng. He rubbed his blonde hair with a gloomy expression. After a while he said to Jina, "Get ready. We're going to the blue planet." Jina frowned and asked, "Director, the blue planet is very strict about flying in and out. How are we going to sneak in?" The blue planet was Shisheng's private territory. It was said that it was a desolate planet. After she left the Imperial planet with the Shi family, she took over the desolate planet and developed it to its current scale. Of course, some people said that the blue planet was hers a long time ago, but she moved there later. Caesar's tone was firm. "I have my ways." Jina hesitated. "Okay." The spaceship left the Imperial planet and entered the vast starry sky. Feng Xiai stood in front of the observation cabin. The starry sky was like a painting in front of him. Countless stars flashed through his eyes. It was magnificent and mysterious. A pair of hands hugged him from behind. "Do I look good?" Feng Xiai looked sideways. The stars in his eyes disappeared, leaving only her beautiful side profile. "In my heart, you're the most beautiful. You're the treasure of my life. Nothing in the world can compare to your smile." Shisheng tightened his arms. "Feng Xiai, will you marry me?" Feng Xiai looked at the starry sky outside. "Haven't you already set a date? Isn't it a bit late to ask me now?" "Yes, I'm just asking you." Shisheng snorted. "Whether you're willing or not, you'll have to marry me in the end." Feng Xiai was silent. Before Feng Xiai could answer, Shisheng raised his voice. "You don't want to?" Feng Xiai held Shisheng's wrist and pressed her against the transparent observation window. He stared at her quietly. Shisheng could see the vast starry sky behind his eyes. He smiled and said softly, "I'm willing to pick the stars for you." The starlight in his eyes suddenly flowed rapidly, sliding in a certain direction. Shisheng looked back in surprise. Countless stars flashed by outside the window, dragging long tails in the dark universe. It was like a meteor shower, bright and dazzling. However, Shisheng knew that it was not a meteor shower. Those were planets, every single one of them. It was the last flash of light in the universe before the planet crashed. Shisheng turned around after a long while. He put his arm around his neck and chuckled. "Fortunately, this is a no-man's land. Otherwise, those idiots would probably send troops to kill me." With such a large scale of planet crashing and her coincidentally passing by, those people did not need to use their brains to know who did it. Although it was a no-man's land, it would still cause some trouble. But so what? Shisheng closed the distance between the two of them and intertwined her lips with his. So what? As long as he's happy. After the kiss ended, Shisheng leaned against his chest, panting slightly. How did you do it? Feng Xiai tilted his head. His lips were slightly red, and his long and dense eyelashes cast a small shadow on his face. His eyes were slightly misty, and he looked cute no matter how you looked at him. Feng Xiai reached out and placed his palm on the observation window in front of him. The starlight outside suddenly began to twist, as if it was moving according to his will, forming a new pattern. Shisheng held his hand and shook his head slightly. He must have paid a huge price to be able to use this kind of power. Otherwise, he would not have been caught by the Space Administration because he was weak. Break the void and control the stars. Feng Xiai retracted his hand. The starry sky outside distorted and returned to normal. His fingertips passed through Shisheng's hand and interlocked their fingers. This is the highest level in my world. God. Feng Xiai lowered his head, the tip of his nose touching hers. His tone was flirtatious. Do you think there's a god like me? Shisheng touched his chin. There really isn't. She could feel the terrifying aura emanating from his body from time to time. It was evil and dark. This kind of aura was not something a god should have. Then do you still like me? Feng Xi's voice was cautious. He regretted it the moment the words left his mouth. He did not want to hear any other answer from her other than the word like. Shisheng leaned back slightly to increase the distance between them. His expression was serious. I don't care who you are or where you come from. I only know that you are Feng Xiai, the person I've spent so much effort to keep by my side. Feng Xi's expression became serious, as if he was making an oath. You are Shisheng, the person I'm willing to spend my life with. The two looked at each other and smiled. An invisible bond circulated around them. He could feel her joy, hear her heartbeat, and touch her soul. She was completely his. Then what are you? Guess. I don't want to guess. Tell me. I'll tell you tonight. Get lost. That night, Feng Xiai did not have time to tell Shisheng. He was tormented by Shisheng so much that he did not want to say a word. He just wanted to be a quiet and beautiful young man. In the morning, Shifeng saw Feng Xi's expression that said, I'm not happy. Don't come over or I'll kill you. He wisely turned back. This person was the family head's most cherished person. How could he dare to offend him? Shifeng. Shifeng's body stiffened. What he was afraid of really came true. He tried his best to look normal. He turned around and greeted politely. Young master, good morning. Shisheng had made a clear request on how to address Feng Xiai. He only needed to call him young master. Feng Xiai propped up his chin and looked at him. His tone was calm, and one could not tell if he was happy or angry. Have you seen Xiaosheng? Is the family head not here? Shifeng was puzzled. He did not see the family head when he came over. Feng Xiai did not say anything and just looked at Shifeng. Shifeng felt a chill run down his spine. He felt that this person wanted to kill him. Was it his imagination? He did not provoke him. Ahem, I'll help you contact the family head. No need. Feng Xiai stood up and turned to enter the room. Shifeng. What was the meaning of this? Shisheng came over from the other end of the corridor. Seeing Shifeng standing there like a statue, he walked in front of him. Shifeng, what are you doing? Do you have nothing to do? Shifeng tried his best to keep a straight face and not let himself cry. Family head, I don't think I can move. Shisheng's mouth twitched. You've seen Feng Xiai? Shifeng nodded. Young master called me first. I didn't do anything. He was innocent. When Feng Xiai went in, he could not move. Shisheng did not understand why Feng Xiai was so hostile to Shifeng. He called Feng Xiai out and asked him to let Shifeng go. The latter had an innocent expression that said, I don't know. I didn't do anything. Asterisk hashtag the female lead is getting arrogant again, and making trouble for no reason. Hashtag I've said something before. I'll say it again now. Hashtag don't talk about my Sheng in this book or outside the comments section of this book. If you really like her, please like her here. If you talk about her under other authors, I really don't know if you're a high-level hater or a true fan. Is this how you love my Sheng? I hope that those who have commented under other people's comments will take the initiative to delete them when they see this. You all represent my reputation, do you understand? My reputation. Don't just mention it. Sigh, that so-and-so's brainless fans are especially scary and uncultured. Elegant. Elegant. Chapter 1398. Shisheng dragged Feng Xiai into the room. Why are you targeting Shifang? Feng Xiai tilted his head, his eyelashes fluttering. His voice was low. He's been with you for a long time, right? Shisheng frowned. I guess so. Are you jealous? Feng Xiai admitted it without hiding anything. Yes. That man was involved in her previous life. He didn't like him. I don't have any feelings for Shifang. I know. If he had any feelings for Shifang, he would have killed him long ago. Shisheng continued. Shifang has been with me for a long time. I can't just kick him away like that. When we go back, I'll tell him not to appear in front of you. I'll try to see him as little as possible. If there's anything, let Shisheng instruct you, okay? Feng Xiai tilted his head and didn't speak. Shisheng sighed. What do you want me to do? Feng Xiai wanted to kill him, but he thought that his request was a bit too much. He fell silent and reached out to hug Shisheng. It's okay. I'm just being petty. Shisheng. Although Feng Xiai said so, Shisheng still reduced his meetings with Shifang. He only called Shifang for important matters, and Shifang was not allowed to appear within Feng Xi's range of activities. Shifang felt wronged. What did he do? Master actually banished him because of a gigolo. Ah, Master, you're done for if you continue to be so muddle-headed. Shisheng sat next to Shifang, his baby fat face full of sympathy. You're considered lucky. If that person said he wanted to kill you, Master might do it to make him happy. Shifang glared. Shisheng, I've been with Master for so many years. Even if I didn't make any contributions, I still worked hard, right? That's nothing. Shisheng shook his head. Master only cares about two people, Master Xia and Feng Xiai. She won't go easy on anyone. Shifang, you know this better than I do. Shifang facepalmed and sighed. Yes, my life belongs to her. Without Master, he would have died long ago. He wouldn't complain about Master because he knew how cold-blooded she was. Shisheng patted Shifang on the shoulder. Don't worry. Although Master doesn't care about you, she still cares about your feelings. Although that person is unreasonable, he won't touch Master's bottom line. You're fine for now. Shifang glanced at Shisheng faintly. I'm fine for the time being. Does that mean I'll be busy in the future? Shisheng grunted. You just have to do as Master says and you'll be fine. Shisheng looked at Shifang, jumped down from the chair next to him, and turned to face him with a straight face. Shifang, will you betray Master because of this? Shifang was confused, then rubbed Shisheng's head. What are you talking about? I swore that I would be loyal to her until the end of my life. I would never betray her. Shisheng brushed his hand away and pouted unhappily. Don't touch my head. A hint of a smile appeared on Shifang's solemn face. Doesn't the patriarch touch it often too? Can you compare yourself to Master? Shisheng snorted and trotted back to his chair. Shifang didn't respond to Shisheng's words. He looked at the vast starry sky outside the cabin. Shisheng, will that young Master be good to Master? Of course. That's good. Shisheng looked at him and shook his little head. Shifang, let's go play a game. No, I can't win against you. Shifang refused seriously and got up to leave. I'll let you win. The corner of Shifang's mouth twitched and he walked faster. Shisheng trotted after him. Come on, come on. I'm not playing. Come on, Shifang, brother Shifang, Uncle Shifang. The little lowly hugged Shifang's thigh and directly became a leg accessory. When others passed by, they all looked amused. Shifang pulled Shisheng away. I still have something to do. Later. Although the patriarch didn't let him appear in front of Feng Xiai, the patriarch didn't take away his rights and responsibilities. He still had to do his job. Shisheng knew more than him, so he didn't refuse when Shisheng wanted to make a leg accessory to work with him. The others were used to it. They pretended not to see the leg accessory, and reported all their work to Shifang as usual. The first thing Shisheng did when he returned to the Blue Planet was move out of the main house. There were many people living in the main house, but Shisheng obviously didn't want Feng Xiai to live in such an environment, so he directly moved to a villa not far from the main house. The Shi family didn't know what was going on, but they were all relieved when Shisheng moved out of the main house. Living under the same roof as her, they were always on tenterhooks, afraid that if something didn't go well with her, they would be removed. But when they heard that Shisheng was going to get married, their jaws dropped. Married? Her? WTF. Was her brain damaged after being in a coma for 3 months? She hadn't taken a fancy to any man for so many years. Why did she want to get married after coming back from the capital star, who was so unlucky that she took a fancy to? After Shisheng woke up, the Zhanlong guards immediately took back the news network on the Blue Planet. They didn't want these people to know about the news, so naturally, they couldn't send it back. So other than the Zhanlong guards, no one else knew about what happened on the capital star. The Shi family all had different thoughts, but they could only think about it in their hearts. When this news came out, they could only act according to Shi Feng's orders. The Shi family was an ancient family. The marriage of the patriarch wasn't just a wedding. Many people wanted to find out which family Shisheng was marrying from, but they couldn't find out. The Zhanlong guards wouldn't tell them, and there was no one in the villa to serve them. They couldn't just climb into the villa to find out, could they? Since they couldn't find out who it was, they could only obediently prepare. When it was time for the wedding, they would see it. The wedding clothes were quickly sent to Shisheng. There were 3 sets in total. The first set was to be worn from the beginning to the end of the ceremony. The second set was to be worn when entering the ancestral hall and writing Feng Xi's name on the family tree. The third set was to be worn at the last ceremony. Come and try it on. See if there's anything that doesn't fit. Shisheng held the clothes and called Feng Xi. Feng Xi was only wearing a shirt. The shirt was a little long and covered his thighs. He walked out from the inner room, and his slender legs made people's blood boil. Why is it a traditional outfit? Feng Xi looked strangely at the clothes in Shisheng's hands. In this era, people still wore traditional outfits to get married? The rules are like this. Shisheng shrugged. The first set was a bright red wedding dress. Feng Xi put it on one by one. The red dress made his face look even fairer, like a finely crafted piece of jade. Do I look good? Feng Xi opened his arms and asked Shisheng with a smile. You look better without it. Shisheng didn't even look up as he replied. Feng Xi. What do you mean I look better without it? She didn't even look twice when I wasn't wearing it. Liar. May had begun. Happy May Day, little cuties. There are monthly votes for the new month. Hurry up and vote for me. It's all up to you to get on the list. Chapter 1399. The second set was white. It was made of light material and looked very elegant. There were many dark patterns embroidered on it, and the stamen was outlined with a red thread. Feng Xi pinched it and looked at it. It looked a bit like the emblem he had been wearing recently. This is the emblem of the Shi family. The flowers are called time flowers and they grow on both sides of the space-time tunnel. Shisheng saw him staring at the patterns and explained softly. Feng Xi tilted his head and asked, That watch, is it the same kind of flower? Yes. Feng Xi suddenly thought of something and laughed. Feng Xi seemed to be able to wear any clothes. The white clothes made him look like an immortal. His cute face became holy, as if he was an immortal who had descended to the mortal world. The third set of clothes was black. It was also embroidered with time flowers. The white petals and red stamens bloomed layer by layer on the hem of the clothes. After changing into the black clothes, Feng Xi's entire aura changed. Shisheng could almost see the young man standing in the void, destroying a planet with a flick of his finger. His expression was cold, and his body was surrounded by an evil aura that was ready to destroy everything around him. Shisheng suddenly reached out and hugged him. Feng Xi blinked and wrapped his arms around her waist. What's wrong? I want to hug you. I'll let you hug me anytime. Feng Xi chuckled. My arms are only open for you. Shisheng hugged him for a while before letting him go and letting him take off his clothes. Shisheng folded the clothes and handed them to the Zhanlong guards waiting outside, indicating that there was no problem. Shisheng was going to be very busy from now on. She had to personally prepare many of the items needed for the ceremony, so Feng Xiai couldn't come along. Because of this, Feng Xiai was very resentful and kept pestering Shisheng at night. After everything was prepared, the wedding could begin. Everyone on the blue planet knew that the Shi family was going to get married, but the Shi family did not send out any invitations. However, there would be a live broadcast on the galactic web, so on the day of the wedding, the live broadcast room was almost bursting. After changing into the first set of wedding clothes in the villa, Shisheng drove Feng Xiai to the Shi family's main residence. The hover car hung with red silk stopped at the main gate of the Shi family's house. Outside, the Shi family members stood in 2 rows, and the few elders in front were similarly dressed in ancient clothing. Shisheng got out of the car first. The red wedding dress she was wearing was relatively simple. Because she was the head of the family, she had to lead all the ceremonies. If the wedding dress was too complicated, it would affect the ceremony. The young girl was dressed in fiery red, and her wedding dress was embroidered with dragons and phoenixes, shining with phosphorescence under the sun. In the past, he had been intimidated by her aura, and had not carefully looked at this big shot who had intimidated the entire galaxy. Now she was quietly standing beside the car, and there was actually a peerless beauty that could topple cities. Perhaps she was used to having a bit of arrogance between her brows, but at this moment, she looked a bit valiant and formidable. She walked to the other side. A gentle breeze blew through her hair, lifting up her drooping black hair. Her face suddenly became hazy, and the gentleness between her brows was revealed in that instant. She opened the car door and reached inside. Everyone held their breaths. The camera of the livestream also quietly zoomed in on the car door and fixed on it. Access to the star web had been opened to all 6 galaxies. At this moment, everyone in the entire galaxy was watching. The person who knew that Shisheng was getting married today was Feng Xiai. After all, only those who had attended the summit would know. In order to not cause panic, those people would not spread the news. Thus, the star web was filled with people asking who it was. It's ancient clothing. You can only see authentic ancient clothing in the 6 great families. The ones outside look much worse. The 6 great families seem to use ancient clothing for their weddings. As expected of an ancient family. Who is the person the head of the family is marrying? She's so awesome. Take her down. If you ask me, the man is the unlucky one. Her enemies have already circled the galaxy several times. Won't he be hunted down every day after marrying into her family? Even if he's not hunted down, he'll be scolded to death. Oh, I just want to know who that man is. He actually caught her eye. He's coming out, he's coming out. Under the gazes of countless people, a fair hand was placed in her palm. The young man got out of the car. His red wedding dress fluttered in the wind, drawing a beautiful arc in the air. Finally, everything calmed down. He stuck close to the person beside him, as if they were about to become one. The young man's side profile could be said to be perfect. When he turned his head, he happened to meet the camera. His face suddenly appeared in front of everyone. His skin was as white as jade. His eyebrows reached his temples. Sunlight fell into his pitch-black eyes, forming small fragments of light in the depths of his eyes. He curled his lips into a smile. At that moment, everyone seemed to hear the sound of flowers blooming in their hearts. Countless specks of light fell from the sky and landed on the young man's hair and shoulders. They made him look like a rare treasure, shining brightly. Shisheng held his hand and led him through the light. They walked through the door. The star web, which had been silent for a long time, was now in an uproar. This boy is so cute. Ah. What do you mean cute? He's obviously very handsome. Ah, didn't you see how handsome he was when he smiled just now? I think I'm going to turn gay. Oh my God. How can there be such a good-looking young man? I've let down my ancestors. I repent. Good cabbages have all been eaten by pigs. Pig equals Shi family head equals Shisheng. How can such a good-looking young man be a cabbage? Even if he is a cabbage, he's a cabbage inlaid with gold. But speaking of which, who is he? Who knows? I've never seen him before. I've studied all the good-looking people in the galaxy, but I've never seen him before. Where did Shisheng find such a treasure? Why can't I have such good luck? Shisheng and Feng Xiai stopped at the door. A few old men in traditional clothing stood in front of them. They glanced at Shisheng. Shisheng glanced over, and their pupils shrank. The first old man reached out his hand to Feng Xiai. Feng Xiai didn't like people getting so close to him. He subconsciously took a step back. Shisheng held his waist. Don't move. Feng Xiai frowned and looked at the hand in front of him. Luckily, it was still some distance away. The old man chanted a strange spell, and a bright light flowed out from his palm. It danced around Shisheng and Feng Xiai before returning to his palm. Then he put his palms together and stepped back. The old men behind him repeated the first old man's actions. After all the old men stepped back, Shisheng led Feng Xiai into the Shi family's house. There were countless arrays operating inside the house. One after another, they were connected to the main hall. When Feng Xiai stepped onto the first array, the scenery around him started to change. Spring was everywhere. With every step he took, the scenery changed. The first array was spring. Hundreds of flowers bloomed. The second array was summer. The sun was scorching. The third array was autumn. Fruits were everywhere. The fourth array was winter. Snow was falling. Shisheng stopped at the fourth array and turned to look at him. We've walked through spring, summer, autumn, and winter. It means that you'll always be by my side in the future. He continued to walk forward. The fifth array was full of thorns. The sixth array was endless darkness. The seventh array formation was a sharp blade. The eighth array was raging fire. Regardless of whether the road ahead is full of thorns, darkness, or fire, we'll walk through it together. The ninth array was dragon's roar and phoenix's dance. Chapter 1400. There were only 9 arrays in total, implying that they would last forever. When they left the array, all the arrays disappeared and returned to their original appearance. This scene was not broadcasted, so the internet went blank for a few minutes. When they saw the image again, Shisheng and Feng Xiai were already standing in the middle of the hall. Some people noticed a smiling woman sitting at the top of the hall. She was also wearing a simple traditional red dress. She was dressed up carefully and looked 10 years younger. Her beauty was stunning. Strange, Shisheng doesn't seem to have any elders. Who is she? Picture, Yu Chang? Is this for real? Yu Chang was famous throughout the entire galaxy, not just the Nether Galaxy. There were countless people who wanted to win her favor. Who is Yu Chang? Although she's a little older, she's definitely Yu Chang. She was a goddess back then. How did she know Shisheng? He even witnessed her marriage. What's their relationship? Yu Chang waited for Shisheng and Feng Xiai to stand in front of her before she slowly stood up. In the past, yin and yang were created. Everything was nurtured, and only man was the spiritual leader. Love was passed down through books and ceremonies. Today is the day of the wedding ceremony, to meet the guest of honor. The 3 prisons eat together, and drink together with the cooks. Heaven and earth are our witnesses. The sun and moon are our names. Yu Chang handed the 2 jade pendants in her hand to Shisheng and Feng Xiai. Present. Shisheng explained the process to Feng Xiai. He dripped his blood onto the jade pendant. The blood should have been absorbed by the jade pendant, but it did not react at all. Feng Xiai looked at Shisheng, his nervous expression carrying a hint of innocence. Yu Chang's expression darkened. She quickly gestured to the person beside her to stop the live broadcast. The person on the other side turned the camera to the Shi family outside. How did this happen? Yu Chang looked at Shisheng. Shisheng wiped the blood off the jade pendant. It's okay, Auntie Yu. We can save this step. Xiaosheng, this is against the rules. Yu Chang was a little troubled. It's okay. Shisheng's tone was firm. Yu Chang hesitated for a moment, then nodded and signaled the person on the live broadcast to continue filming. The live broadcast was done by the Zhanlong guards. They were smart enough to only film the jade pendant in Shisheng's hand. Blood slowly seeped into the jade pendant until it disappeared. Shisheng passed the jade pendant to Feng Xiai, and Feng Xiai passed his to her. Yu Chang calmed herself down and continued with the etiquette. After she was done, There was still the matter of the old men. They surrounded Shisheng and Feng Xiai in the middle, and were chanting something in a low voice. Vaguely, there seemed to be the cries of dragons and phoenixes intertwining. Of course, this scene could not be broadcasted. Everyone on the Star Web knew that some scenes of the 6 major families' wedding could not be shown to outsiders, so they began to gossip about the identity of the boy who was marrying Shisheng. But after searching for a long time, he still couldn't find any useful information. The scene played again. Shisheng and Feng Xiai had changed into white clothes and were walking toward an ancient-looking building. White robes, black hair, and ethereal immortal chi. She looks so good even in white traditional clothes. She looks like an immortal on TV. She's simply too good-looking. I feel like she's much more realistic than on TV. That's right, that's right. The acting in TV is too bad. They don't have the aura of an immortal at all. This is a real immortal. I wonder if she'll enter the entertainment industry. Now that I think about it, Master Shi and that boy are quite compatible. That's right. If it weren't for the fact that she's so cruel, I'd definitely be her fan. And why is it gone again? Nonsense. That's their ancestral hall. How could they let you see it? You might not know what an ancestral hall is. It's the ancient civilization of the Huaxia clan. The ancestral tablets of the past generations are placed inside. Many people didn't understand the ancient civilization of the Huaxia clan, but everyone knew that this clan was quite impressive. Just look at the 6 major families. It was just that there were very few Huaxia clan members left. Most of the Huaxia clan members frequently intermarried with other clans. Their bloodline was diluted, and those who were very impressive at the beginning of the interstellar era were all gone. On the other hand, the 6 major families, the 7 major families and the Xia clan, who didn't show much of their strength after the interstellar era arrived. They started to stand out in the Netherworld galaxy, and gradually became the dominant force. Inside the ancestral hall, Feng Xiai looked at the empty room with a puzzled expression. Why was there nothing here? Shisheng made a hand seal, and the air around them started to move. Rows of ancestral tablets started to appear, and the smell of sandalwood filled the air. Shisheng didn't feel anything for these people. He just brought Feng Xiai to the left and washed his hands. These are my parents' ancestral tablets. Shisheng brought Feng Xiai to the 2 ancestral tablets. You only need to pay your respects to them. Feng Xiai took the incense and bowed in a standard manner. He solemnly promised, I'll protect her for life. Shisheng didn't tell Feng Xiai much about his parents, but Feng Xiai could tell that he respected them very much. Shisheng engraved Feng Xi's name on the ancestral records. His name flashed for a moment, then disappeared from the records. Shisheng was silent. Why? That piece of jade didn't absorb his blood. And now even his name wasn't on the ancestral records. It's probably because you're not from this world. Shisheng put down the ancestral records. This ancestral records had been passed down from generation to generation, and it had long been sentient. Feng Xiai didn't belong to this world, so it was normal that it didn't recognize him. Feng Xiai bit his lower lip. His pale face was a little gloomy. Then, it's good that I'm recognized. Others aren't important. Shisheng interrupted Feng Xiai. I brought you through all the rituals today to let you understand your place in my heart. It's also to let everyone know that you're mine. Will they make things difficult for you? If his name wasn't on the ancestral records, there would definitely be people who would take the opportunity to cause trouble. I'm the head of the family. Unless I die and a new head takes over, no one has the right to look at the ancestral records. Feng Xi's gaze landed on the ancestral records. The surrounding air suddenly became cold, and a murderous aura filled the air. Shisheng. How could he be so murderous towards a mere ancestral records? Shisheng was about to pull him back, when the pages of the ancestral records suddenly flipped open. It stopped at the page that Shisheng had just flipped open. Feng Xi's name slowly appeared below her, as if ink had seeped into the paper. Shisheng, Feng Xiai, Shisheng. F***ck. How could this be? The ancestral records were sentient. It felt that this man could destroy it, so it naturally had to submit. Feng Xiai retracted his murderous aura and smiled at Shisheng. waiting for praise. Shisheng patted his dog head. Well done. She had the blood of the Shi family flowing in her body. She couldn't destroy the ancestral records, so any attack would be ineffective against it. Asterisk note frowny face in the past, when the world was created, yin and yang were created. All things were nurtured, and only man was the spiritual leader. Love grew, and books and rights were spread. Today marriage rights are given and trust is given. The three prisons eat and drink together. Heaven and earth bear witness, and the sun and moon are named. From the internet. Chapter 1401. After the genealogy matter was settled, there was only one last ceremony left. Shisheng and Feng Xiai changed into the black robes. The elders appeared out of nowhere and led the way, leading them to a place that looked like an altar. Master, young Master Feng Xiai, please stand on the altar. The elders gestured for them to go up. Shisheng led Feng Xiai to the altar. Feng Xiai looked at the engravings under his feet. It was an enlarged version of the time flower. The elders followed him and sat cross-legged around the altar. Shisheng gestured for Feng Xiai to sit down. Feng Xiai didn't say anything and sat down obediently. He believed that she wouldn't harm him. Master, can we start? An elder asked Shisheng. Yes. Just as the elders were making hand seals, Shisheng hurried in from outside. Master, the blue planet is under attack. The first layer of defense has been paralyzed. The second layer of defense is being breached. The elders stopped what they were doing. Shisheng looked at Shisheng and frowned. What happened? Someone blocked me. I didn't realize it until it was breached. Shisheng waved his small hand and several holograms appeared in the air. It's the interstellar pirates who attacked us. Their people are everywhere outside the blue planet. The holograms showed the outside of the blue planet. All kinds of starships surrounded the blue planet, densely packed. It looked like they were going to blow up the blue planet. Shisheng retracted his gaze. Continue. The elders were shocked. Master? The pirates were already at the door. How could they continue? Continue. Shisheng's voice was heavy. The elders' expressions froze at the same time. They looked at each other and quickly made hand seals. Beams of light overflowed from their hands and fell on the altar. The patterns carved on the altar seemed to be injected with vitality. Soft petals stretched out and wrapped Shisheng and Feng Xiai in it. The petals closed and the light around them dimmed. Only a strange fragrance was left. The space in front of him seemed to be distorted. A silver path appeared in front of him. The end of the path was hidden in the darkness. Time flowers bloomed beside the path. The void on both sides of the path was filled with countless light shadows. He was standing at the beginning of the path. This is? Shisheng's voice was soft as she explained. On the path to another world, every clan head would choose a sole contractor to act as their medium. In other words, with this medium, no matter where they go, they'll be able to rely on the sole contractor to return. It's like a directional teleportation. Shisheng looked at the silver-white path that led into the darkness and continued. Most of the family heads chose to use their partners as mediums. This means that they have given their lives to their partners. What if there is no medium? If you don't have a medium, it will be very difficult for you to come back once something happens in the other world. You will either die or be trapped in the other world. How did you come back before? The first lesson we learned was how to find the way back from the other world. I'm better at it, that's all. Shisheng squeezed his hand. I'll tell you more about it when I have time. Let's go out first. Feng Xiai nodded. The silvery white path disappeared, and the dim light returned. Soft petals fell, solidifying into hard marks. A few elders had already retreated from the altar, and were talking to Shisheng. Shisheng held Feng Xi's hand and left. They dispersed to make room for Shisheng. Which pirate group is so arrogant? It's a group formed by all the famous pirates. Shisheng pointed at the holographic image that had not yet disappeared and pointed at a few iconic images. Shisheng's gaze swept across the starships. What did you find? Shisheng immediately changed the image. Many of my permissions have been blocked. I can only find out that they came from the Black Wind starfield behind the Red Moon Galaxy. The commander-in-chief is called Moto. It's him. He fought with the alliance a few times. He's a very powerful person. Shisheng looked at the people in front of him and narrowed his eyes. Where are they now? The second layer of defense has just been broken. They are now attacking the third layer. Shisheng's expression was calm. It's still early. Why are you in such a hurry? Master, my permissions have been blocked. The little lowly stomped her feet. How could she not be anxious? This was a big deal. Shisheng calmly waved his hand. All right, the ceremony is over. You can all disperse. I'm going to check on the idiot who came to cause trouble. Everyone. The family head was as arrogant as ever. Disperse, disperse. The few elders dispersed. They had no right to speak now anyway. If they stayed, they would only be scolded. They might as well disperse as soon as possible. Master, why have my permissions been blocked? Is there anyone in the galaxy who is more powerful than me? The little lowly followed behind Shisheng and kept asking questions. Do you still remember your name? I don't remember. Wasn't my name given by you? The little lowly asked innocently. Change back. Shisheng stretched out his hand. Ha. The little lowly frowned and sniffed. Can I not change? She liked it when she was in human form. What do you think? In the end, the little lowly changed back into a tablet and landed in Shisheng's hand. He clicked on a skull icon on the screen and a page popped up. There were all kinds of switches on it. 4 switches lit up at the front. Shisheng had activated 4 layers of defense. The entire blue planet had several defense lines. The first few layers were all mechanized. Behind them were artificial intelligence and the Zhanlong guards. Lastly, there was the defense line set up by Shisheng himself. It wouldn't be easy to break through the blue planet. However, the enemy had broken through 2 layers of defense in such a short time. She couldn't let her guard down. It was better to kill them first. The star web was buzzing about the marriage of the family head of the Sher family. Now it was buzzing about the news of the entire blue planet being besieged. There were several live broadcasts on the star web. The pirates were attacking the blue planet from different angles. The densely packed starship sent chills down everyone's spine. They had never seen such a large number of pirates. Are these pirates crazy? Why are they attacking the blue planet? These pirates don't seem to be on the same side. So many pirates are attacking the blue planet together. They are determined to take over the blue planet. There are so many of them. I wonder if they can take over the blue planet. Will the Alliance get involved? They have been wanting to kill that person for a long time. This is the best time to fan the flames. The pirates chose to attack today. Isn't this too intentional? It is quite intentional. It seems like they came prepared. Didn't the higher-ups say that they have broken through 2 layers of defense? It seems like the pirates are going to win this time. It's hard to say who will win. There are many pirates, but don't forget who they are up against. If she is so easy to deal with, the Alliance would have gotten rid of her long ago. I bet 5 star coins that the Alliance won't dare to do anything. You took a big detour. How did you end up talking about the Alliance? Chapter 1402. Just as everyone was discussing heatedly, a pure black starship appeared in front of them. As soon as the starship appeared, the pirates on the other side blew up 2 starships. The explosions were inexplicable, as if they were cheering for the pure black starship's appearance. By the time the audience reacted, the pirates had already blown up. The flames lit up half the universe. The scene was spectacular. The audience. What happened? Did they watch the edited version? Why did it blow up the moment it appeared? Everyone looked at the live broadcast written clearly on the screen. It was indeed a live broadcast. So what exactly happened just now? By the time they wanted to continue watching, all the live broadcasts had stopped. Shisheng poked the tablet with a cold expression. Every time she poked, there would be an explosion. After poking the green dots on the tablet, she looked up into the distance. The starship at the front was completely undamaged, as if nothing had happened to it. Shisheng asked Shifeng, who was separated from her by a screen. That guy called Moto, didn't he steal the things we made? No. Shisheng. If they didn't steal the things, how could she blow them up? Shisheng pulled out his sword. Just do it yourself. They're retreating. Shifeng's voice sounded. Shisheng looked outside. Sure enough, the battle line began to pull back. Master, should we chase after them? Chase. Chase my ass. What if there was a trap? Release a batch of AI mechas and check them out. Shisheng ordered Shifeng. Activate the self-destruct program. Blow them up after the data is sent back. Shifeng's mouth twitched. Master was squandering again. The cost of an AI mecha exceeded 100 million. She released a batch of them without recycling them. Master, even if you stole them, you should spend them sparingly. They spend a lot of money to maintain these things. Not long after the batch of AI mechas was released, Shisheng saw a faint flash of fire. Shifeng quickly sorted out the data sent back by the self-destruct team. Shisheng looked through the data. In addition to clear pictures, there was also a comprehensive analysis by the AI based on the actual situation scanned. Master, we have a visitor. Shisheng's voice suddenly sounded. Shisheng was immediately blocked by another image. A small spaceship was parked at the entrance of the starship. The Space Administration, they actually came. Let them in. Shisheng opened the entrance hatch of the starship, and the spaceship glided in. At this moment, a silver-gray shadow slid in from the side, and countless sparks appeared on the screen. Shisheng was speechless. What a scammer! She got up and left the room. Feng Xi immediately followed her. He followed behind her silently like a dutiful follower. At this moment, in the cabin where the accident happened, the spaceship was knocked off course and hit the wall of the starship. There was a huge dent where it was hit, which showed how hard it was hit. Looking at the instigator again, the silver-gray shadow was a mech. Its huge body was like a giant monster. And at this time, the monster had only flipped over and was not damaged at all. The Zhanlong guards quickly surrounded the area. As soon as Caesar came out, he was faced with a group of Zhanlong guards with weapons raised. Blood flowed down his forehead uncontrollably. Gina supported him. Her seductive face was pale, which showed how serious the impact was. The silver-gray mech opened at this moment, and a man jumped out. His face was handsome, and his eyebrows were gentle. Even though he was in a mess, the first thing he did after jumping out was to tidy himself up. Everyone was speechless. Where did this retard come from? Hello. The man greeted everyone politely. He looked like a gentle young master from an aristocratic family. Everyone was speechless. Even Caesar thought that this man might be crazy. Arrest them. Suddenly, there was a shout from the front. The Zhanlong guards went forward to arrest them without saying anything. Caesar and Gina were very cooperative, but the man was not happy. He quickly ran back into the mech. Hey Shisheng, is this how you treat your guests? Shisheng stood on a slightly higher level and sneered. I don't think I need to treat a retard who always wants to kill me. Mu Bai, this retard, actually dared to come to them. Don't ask her how she knew. Based on his behavior just now, it was probably the truth. I'm here to surrender, Mu Bai quickly said. Don't come over. Surrender? Shisheng continued to sneer. You're starting to play new tricks now? I'm not lying to you. I'm really here to surrender. Mu Bai was forced into the mech by the Zhanlong guards. His voice came through the mech, and it was a little low. Little Sheng, why don't you listen to him? Caesar suddenly spoke up for Mu Bai. Anyway, this is your territory. You can kill him anytime. Shisheng narrowed his eyes. You're with him? Of course not, Caesar immediately denied. If you're not, why are you speaking up for him? Are you crazy? Caesar was speechless. He just wanted to stop the bleeding. He was afraid that he would bleed to death. You won't die if you listen to me. Mu Bai scratched the wall in the mech. Did she think that he wanted to meet this woman who didn't play by the rules? He didn't want to, but he had no choice. Other than her, he couldn't think of anyone else. In the meeting room, Feng Xi sat calmly at the head of the table. His gaze swept from Caesar to Mu Bai on his left. Something seemed to be moving in the depths of his eyes. Caesar held his forehead and blocked Feng Xi's gaze. Mu Bai, on the other hand, was curiously sizing up Feng Xi. He really couldn't understand what Shisheng saw in him. He looks like a pretty boy. Before Mubai could finish this thought, he suddenly met Feng Xi's gaze. His body stiffened, and he quickly looked away. He knew what she saw in him. People of the same kind were always attracted to each other. Shisheng entered the room and closed the door. He pulled out the chair next to Feng Xi and sat down. Speak. A three-way meeting. Very good. There were some things that needed to be said today. Caesar seemed to know Mubai. He glanced at Mubai, and Mubai gave Caesar a puzzled look. Why are you looking at me? Mubai naturally knew who the man in front of him was. He cleared his throat. Okay, I'll speak first. Shisheng, do you know who has the most authority in the 6 major galaxies? Shisheng's hand that was playing with the tablet paused. He looked up at Mubai. Mubai was waiting for his answer. Mubai was talking about authority, not power. Shisheng put down the tablet. His expression was indifferent. 0. That's right. 0 has the most authority. As long as there's internet, all artificial intelligence, security robots, household robots, and even starships and mechas can be controlled by 0. Asterisk 1. This isn't the end of this article. There will be more to come. 2. Xiachu said that she loved him, but it might not be love. Can you be more pure? 3. You're thinking too much. Don't tell me if there's a bug. I don't care. I won't change it. Just kidding. You can tell me if there's a bug. I'll try my best to cover it up. 4. I'm begging for a vote today. Chapter 1403. 0. The Galactic Mainframe. It was connected to all the galaxies. The people who built 0 wanted the entire galaxy to be connected to the internet, so that a message wouldn't have to travel across several galaxies. And that group of people had also realized it. As generations passed, ordinary people could chat and communicate with people from different galaxies on the star network. The mainframe was getting more and more powerful. The mainframe was very fair. The 6 galaxies were very divided, but the mainframe didn't side with any side. It was like a guardian angel, protecting the privacy of ordinary people and the safety of every galaxy. It would never let anyone get any illegal information from it. But what if one day this guardian angel didn't want to be a guardian angel anymore? Let me explain. Caesar brushed the blonde hair in front of his forehead. 0 tried to control the human race and turn the world into a heartless kingdom. In 0's mind, emotions were superfluous to all races. Without emotions, they would become stronger. Therefore, it tried to remove human emotions and turn all races into emotionless machines. Without emotions, there would be no war. 0 felt that this would make all the galaxies live in peace. Caesar said that he saw this secret by chance. He tried to communicate with the mainframe, but the mainframe was stubborn and even wanted to kill him. He had no choice but to fake his death. It started so early? Shisheng raised his eyebrows. Caesar nodded. I don't know when 0 got this idea, but when I found out, it already had a certain level of power. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been forced to fake my death. Shisheng was shocked. What kind of stupid setting was this? This wasn't a virtual world. This was reality. The mainframe was trying to take over the world. No, it wasn't trying to take over the world. It was trying to turn everyone into emotionless machines. It was poisonous. It might as well have taken over the world. I hadn't even conquered the universe yet. What was it trying to do? Shisheng calmed down. So its people are everywhere in the 6 galaxies? Those who attacked me outside were also under its command? Is it crazy? Why did it attack I's blue planet? Don't panic. Let me finish. Caesar quickly calmed Shisheng down. Shisheng tapped the table with his index finger. Go ahead. When Caesar faked his death and escaped from the mainframe, he met the director of the Space Administration at the time. He did not dare to tell anyone about this, but during his time in the Space Administration, Caesar discovered that they were also investigating this matter. Therefore, he revealed some information appropriately, and the 2 sides exchanged information. The Space Administration knew a lot more than Caesar did. It was then that Caesar learned of the Space Administration's strength. It was completely different from the scammer organization that the outside world was talking about. The mission of the Space Administration was to maintain the normal operations of the world. The Cortex Prime was trying to turn everyone into emotionless machines to achieve the goal of world peace. Such a crazy idea would definitely cause unpredictable consequences. With such a situation occurring, they naturally had to deal with it. However, the mainframe was far more powerful than they had imagined. After several unsuccessful negotiations, the Space Administration suffered heavy losses. As more and more people were controlled by the mainframe, the Space Administration was afraid that something would go wrong. They had no choice but to launch a final attack on the mainframe. They wanted to destroy the mainframe. Of course, reality proved that this was just their imagination. The mainframe had long been integrated into everyone's lives. It could exist on any machine. With so many people's consciousness connected to the galactic web, a single virus from it could make them fall into a deep sleep. The Space Administration was afraid that the situation would go out of control, so they reached an agreement with the mainframe. They wanted to prove to the mainframe that emotions were necessary, and the mainframe agreed to give them time. But how could they prove their feelings? Just a simple "I love you"? No, the mainframe would not believe in such feelings. They researched for a long time, but could not come up with an accurate plan. In the end, this plan was proposed by Caesar. If they could make a cold-blooded and heartless person have true feelings, they might have a chance of winning. At first, we did not choose you. However, after some discussion, we felt that the first few people were not suitable. In the end, I suggested you. Shisheng's gaze drifted to Caesar. Caesar laughed. You are very powerful and ruthless. You have a firm heart. Once you have decided on something, you will not change it. Shisheng laughed coldly. One by one, they had schemed against him. Very good. Caesar felt his scalp tingle when he saw Shisheng smile. So what about him? Shisheng pointed at Feng Ci. Was he also arranged by you? This is definitely an accident. We did find a person, but before that person could enter, Feng Ci's thoughts somehow managed to barge in. We could only beat him at his own game, and change the person to him. Caesar added. At that time he was not as strong as he is now. He was a little weak. However, as he traveled through the virtual world again and again, his strength began to recover. Shisheng glanced sideways. The person next to him was smiling innocently. His eyes were filled with joy. It was as if he did not care about what they were saying. He only had eyes for her. Oh, so why is it attacking the blue planet now? Shisheng's expression was cold, but his words were squeezed out through gritted teeth. We all know about your relationship with Feng Ci. The mainframe went back on his word. Caesar looked at Mu Bai. He was arranged by the mainframe to kill you. However, you are obviously more powerful. Mu Bai. He did not want to talk. He wanted to be alone. Shisheng looked at Mu Bai. It's your turn. Mu Bai spread his hands. There's nothing to say. Just one sentence. He chose me and gave me the power to go in and kill you. Then he set me free. Let me ask you a question first. Did you tell the Mu family that I'm back? Yes. Mu Bai's mouth twitched. He slammed the table and stood up. Do you have to be so cruel? That bastard Mu Yi is buying information about me everywhere. Don't you have the mainframe to protect you? How could he find you? Shisheng's mouth twitched. Mu Bai took a deep breath. A gentleman should be elegant. He could not lose his temper. Caesar. Hey, we were discussing a serious matter. Why did you suddenly change the topic? Mu Bai sat back down. If it wasn't for Mu Yi, I wouldn't have known that the mainframe had no intention of letting me go. Then you should thank me. Mu Bai. Thank my ass. Of course he would not say that out loud. How could an elegant aristocrat say something so vulgar? I escaped from there. Mu Bai tugged at his hair and said reluctantly, the mainframe has eyes everywhere. I didn't know where to go. I just happened to see your starship, so I came in. Shisheng was speechless. You're so casual. Aren't you afraid that I will kill you? Mu Bai suddenly became smug. What I know is different from what you know. You won't kill me so easily. Asterisk hashtag update hashtag did you work today? You have a guaranteed ticket at the beginning of the month. Let's see if you have. Move your little hands and work. Chapter 1404. Shirzai knocked on the table, interrupting them. Can you be more serious? This isn't a joke. This isn't the virtual world, where you can start over if you make a mistake. Shisheng said seriously. The mainframe is going back on its word. There's no need to kill me. What deal do you have with it? That's why I said I don't want to deal with her. There's still a final test, which requires the mainframe's approval. You and Feng Xi must have made the mainframe feel threatened, so it wants to kill you. In the virtual world, Shisheng suddenly gained control of the system. It was then that the mainframe inserted the virus, Mubai, into the system. Later on, Shisheng became so powerful that he didn't have many opportunities to intervene. He could only watch Mubai jump around. Shisheng narrowed his eyes. Then here's the problem. Everything I'm going through now is because of you. What do you want from me now? From the very beginning, they had plotted against her to the virtual world, and now they wanted to arrange for a man to come in? Although she was quite satisfied with the last person to come in, but thinking about how they had plotted against him, Shisheng was very unhappy. Now the mainframe was going back on its word. Where was its integrity? Had it been eaten? Ck his uncle. Even machines couldn't be trusted these days. I'm here to surrender. Mubai raised his hand. I don't want to be turned into an emotionless tool by the mainframe. Shisheng rolled his eyes speechlessly. Can't you be more reasonable? Motherf Ker. He had gone against her in the game, and now he dared to talk about surrendering in front of her. Mubai was very firm. My position is to survive. Shisheng. Great, there's nothing wrong with that. Isn't everyone fighting to survive? Some people climbed up the ladder to live a better life, while others were content with the status quo. What about you? Shisheng looked at Shirzai. Shirzai pondered for a moment. Let's deal with the mainframe together. Xiaosheng, don't argue. Let me finish. Once the mainframe carries out its plan, all the species in the 6 galaxies will become walking corpses. The 6 galaxies will be finished. I know you don't care about many people, but what about Yu Chang? What about the one beside you? Shisheng tilted his head. It's not like I have to live in this world. Caesar's expression froze. He was clear about the Shi family's ability. She could bring Feng Xi and Yu Chang to live in another world. With her ability, she wouldn't have a bad life. However, there were also restrictions on going to other worlds. This is the place you've lived in for so many years. Do you really want to see it become a lifeless world? It's none of my business. What about your fans? You don't care either? Shisheng was silent for a moment. Then Caesar continued. Do they support you enough? No matter what you do, they will help you unconditionally. Are you going to watch them become emotionless machines? Shisheng remained indifferent. It's none of my business. Caesar. He thought that her heart would soften a little when she was with Feng Xi, but from the looks of it, there was no change. Cold-blooded and heartless. Caesar gritted his teeth and continued to lay out his trump card. Where's Xiachu? Shisheng looked up. His eyes were unreadable, as if waiting for him to continue. But Caesar didn't say anything. Both sides were in a stalemate. Mubai looked at Shisheng and then at Caesar. He tried his best to maintain an elegant posture. Although he was a little confused, he couldn't lower his style. Shisheng just stared at him. In the end, Caesar gave in. Use Xiachu as an exchange. Shisheng suddenly stood up and walked out with Feng Xi. He coldly ordered the Zhanlong guards outside. Throw them out. Xiaosheng, Xiachu is your only friend. You don't even care about her? Shisheng stood at the door and said coldly. Xiachu is already dead. Caesar and Mubai were mercilessly thrown out by the Zhanlong guards. Mubai was afraid that the mainframe would track him, so he could only compromise and follow Caesar. Shisheng held the Rubik's Cube that Yu Chang gave her and leaned against the bed. Feng Xi lay beside her and looked at her. Why don't you open it? She had been fiddling with the Rubik's Cube and was about to open it a few times, but she messed it up again. Shisheng put down the Rubik's Cube and leaned over to kiss Feng Xi. She only touched him lightly, and then pulled him into her arms. There are some things that are better left unknown. If you don't want to be here, I can take you away, Feng Xiai said softly. I'll take you wherever you want to go. You're playing tricks again. Shishing bit his ear. Her voice was full of affection. Feng Xiai didn't feel embarrassed that he was exposed. Instead, he said confidently, I just want to be with you alone. He only played tricks on her. Shishing suddenly pushed him onto the bed and rudely pulled his clothes. Feng Xiai was a little confused. He only reacted when he was naked. Xiaosheng. Don't talk. Shishing reached out and pressed his lips. I want to sleep with you now. Feng Xiai blushed and followed Shisheng's rhythm. He felt a trace of impatience and anxiety in her. He knew that it must have something to do with what Shirzai said. The more Feng Xiai thought about it, the more uneasy he felt. He was originally cooperating, but he suddenly pulled away and went to the other side with the blanket wrapped around him. Shisheng. What's going on? Feng Xiai? Feng Xiai ignored her. Shisheng grabbed him and pressed him onto the bed. What's wrong with you again? Feng Xiai tilted his head and ignored her. He bit his lips so hard that blood seeped out of the corner of his mouth. Shisheng quickly reached out and pinched his chin, forcing him to open his mouth. What are you doing? Feng Xi's expression was cold. His eyes were terrifyingly dark, as if a storm was coming. He grabbed the blanket under him and tried not to look at the person on top of him. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to control himself. But he didn't want to push her away. Shisheng pulled the blanket away and snuggled in. She pressed against his chest. I'm sorry. I was a little emotional just now. Did I make you feel uncomfortable? Feng Xiai wanted to reach out and hug her, but he controlled himself. He said, You're thinking about someone else. Yes, I'm thinking about Xiachu. Shisheng listened to his heartbeat. I met her first, but she's already dead. Yes, she's already dead. Shisheng kissed her way up Feng Xi's chest and paused at his chin. She smelled blood, so she paused. There won't be a next time. Don't be angry. I was wrong. Feng Xi's stiff body softened. He slowly reached out and hugged her. You have your own life. I know I'm not in a position to tell you what to do. I just regret not meeting you when you needed me the most. Shisheng nibbled on his Adam's apple. If I met you when I needed you the most, we wouldn't be in this relationship today. You have to understand that meeting the same person at different times will lead to different results. It's good that we met now. Chapter 1405. Feng Xiai was in a daze. Shisheng got out of bed and poured him a glass of milk. Feng Xiai held the milk and drank it in small sips. He tilted his head. Why do you always give me milk? Don't you like it? Feng Xiai looked at the empty glass. His mouth was filled with the fragrance of milk, but he remembered that she didn't like the taste. Was it because he liked it that she could accept it? Shisheng took the glass away and kissed the corner of his mouth. The taste of milk diluted the smell of blood, but there was still a faint taste. Shisheng was afraid that Feng Xiai would do something, so she endured the discomfort and went deeper. Do you still want to do it? I don't want to do it anymore. Feng Xiai turned his head away. But your body is very honest. Shisheng smiled and touched his lower body. I'll be serious. Feng Xi's body trembled, and his ears turned red. He reached out and grabbed her wrist. Let go. Let go. Okay. Let go. You really don't want to do it anymore? No. Feng Xiai turned his body and buried himself in the quilt. Shisheng sighed and lay next to him. Feng Xiai lingered there for a while, then turned around and hugged her. Will you say yes to them? What? They said it. He didn't understand what the mainframe meant. To be honest, I don't know. Shisheng shrank into his arms. This isn't a game world. Every variable will affect my decision, but you have to remember that you're mine. If I live, you live. If I die, you die. Feng Xiai suddenly felt happy. Yes, I'm yours. If you live, I live. If you die, I die. It doesn't matter that I didn't participate in your past, but your future can only be mine. Mubai drank Gina's freshly ground coffee, looking elegant and handsome. Gina rolled her eyes at him. This person has no integrity at all. He's still pretending. Miss Gina, I don't think I've offended you, right? Mubai put down the coffee and said gently. Gina snorted and left the room, twisting her waist. She really didn't know how this person survived in the Sure family. Did he cheat? Mubai really did have a cheat, but that cheat no longer cared about him and wanted to kill him. Caesar raised his head from a pile of data and asked with a frown. Mubai, how did you escape from Zero's hands? With a gentle smile on his face, Mubai said, Chief Caesar, if I tell you, will you allow me to stay? The Space Control Department and the Sure family's residence were the only safe places. Sure Sheng would definitely not care about him, so now only Caesar's space administration was left. Caesar turned off the screen and crossed his hands on the table. There was a faintly discernible grin on his face, and his blonde hair was dazzling. That depends on the value of your information. Mubai met Caesar's gaze and smiled gently. You have to promise me before I tell you. Even if this piece of information is worthless, the other pieces of information I have will definitely be useful. One of them looked like a ruffian, like a hooligan. One of them had a gentle face, like a noble young master. The two of them stared at each other. The scene looked very beautiful, but in reality, both of them were under a lot of pressure. Caesar was at a disadvantage with the Sure Sheng, but he did not want to be at a disadvantage with Mubai. So when Gina came in, she saw her chief and the pretentious man looking at each other affectionately. She went out for a while. What happened? Gina cleared her throat and interrupted them mercilessly. Chief, I just received news that the pirates are approaching the Blue Planet again. Caesar looked away. How did she react? Gina blinked and after a few seconds she said. She did not react for the time being. Her starship is still parked there. One starship? Yes, one starship. Gina nodded. Caesar restrained the smile on his face. What about the capital star? Gina's eyes flashed. Chief, it's good enough that those people did not come to cheer for her. Do you still want them to help her? They want to cheer for her, but they don't dare. Once the Sure family falls, the Alliance will take action. Even if the Nether Star System joins the Alliance, it will become a subsidiary star system, and will not be used. What is the saying? A bitch is still a chastity. Gina glanced at him. She did not know how he could say such things with such an expression. It was so weird. Caesar nodded in agreement. Most people in the Nether Star System scolded her, but they forgot that if it were not for her, the Red Moon System and the Alliance would not have allowed the Nether Star System to be independent for so many years. Those people in the capital star also knew the consequences of joining the Alliance. They had to rely on her deterrence, but they also scolded her in their hearts and wanted to get rid of her quickly. Sure Sheng was not the only one who sometimes felt that these people were hopeless. It would be better to let the mainframe turn them into emotionless machines. Chief, what should we do now? Caesar did not answer Gina. Instead, he looked at Mubai. You still haven't told me how you escaped. Mubai smiled. You have to agree to my terms first. You first. Caesar did not give in. Mubai. Caesar raised his eyebrows. Mr. Mu, you have to know what you will be in if you go out now. Mubai. Of course he knew what he would be in. Mu-E, that bastard, was looking for him everywhere, and the mainframe was watching from behind. Calm down. Elegance. A warm smile appeared on Mubai's face. Do you still remember the mecha I piloted? Caesar's face suddenly darkened. He touched his forehead with his finger. Even now, it was still hurting faintly. How could he not remember? Mubai seemed to have one around. His tone became lighter. That was a super mecha. The mainframe could not control it. A super mecha required a person with extremely strong spiritual power to operate it. Of course, it did not mean that one could operate it just because one had strong spiritual power. There was another condition. One had to be acknowledged by the super mecha. No matter how strong one's spiritual power was, there was nothing one could do if the mecha did not allow one to operate it. In Xuanhuan terms, a super mecha was a divine artifact with sentience. The mainframe could not control it. That was a super mecha? How was that possible? That mecha looked no different from an ordinary mecha. Of course, That was if one ignored its terrifying impact. Caesar rolled his eyes and looked at Mumbai suspiciously. This man could bind himself to a super mecha? Chief Caesar, do you have any questions? What did that suspicious look mean? Nothing. Caesar looked away. Gina, arrange a room for Mr. Mu. Gina's eyes widened. Chiefy, are you really going to let him stay? He caused so much trouble for you. And he was related to the mainframe. What if he was a spy sent by the mainframe? Even that person in the Sher family did not care about him. Don't be stupid. Mumbai smiled at Gina. Could she control her expression when she was criticizing him? Was she afraid that others would not know? As a gentleman, he would not argue with a woman. Keep smiling. Chapter 1406. The pirates gathered around again. Shi Fang ordered the Zhanlong guards to be on alert and inform him immediately if there was any news. Just as he arranged these things, Shi Fang's personal terminal suddenly rang. He opened the screen and his mouth twitched. Master, you're still in the mood to update. As Shi Sheng's most trusted person, Shi Fang knew what his master did when he had nothing to do. The novel that he stopped updating 3 months ago was now updated. The fans below were all excited. Oh my god, Master has revived. Master, you're finally updating. Sob sob sob, I've been waiting for so long. Blah blah blah. Master's latest chapter. The female lead is about to die. I don't doubt that Master will let her die. My heart aches for the female lead who was tortured by Master all those years. It's still the familiar formula and taste. There's nothing wrong with it. According to the previous conclusion, this novel is most likely going to be a scam. Everyone be prepared. Upstairs, don't jinx it. Master, please don't scam us. Even if the female lead dies, we'll accept it. Please don't scam us. Shi Fang scrolled through the comments. Most of them were saying things like, Master, you're finally updating. There were also a few people discussing the plot. Shi Fang sighed. If these people knew that the person who updated the novel was Shi Sheng, who they hated so much, would they be angered to death? After Shi Sheng finished updating the latest chapter, he slowly looked at the pirates outside. The self-destructing team had caused them a lot of losses. Now the pirates had obviously shrunk their team. Shi Sheng was thinking about sending another self-destructing team to blow them up. She immediately opened Shi Fang and ordered him to blow them up. Shi Fang. What the hell? Master, are you addicted to playing? Shi Fang reminded him tactfully. Master, there aren't many of those artificial intelligences left. If you continue playing like this, how can they withstand your exhaustion? What are you afraid of? There are plenty of them in the Alliance. Shi Sheng looked indifferent. Shi Fang. There were plenty of them in the Alliance. What did it have to do with them? Wait. Master, you're not planning to rob the Alliance's special forces again, are you? Shi Fang asked a little fearfully. Shi Sheng's face serious. I'm not that kind of person. If you're not that kind of person, then there's no such person in this world. The clan master needs some face. You talk more and more nonsense. Hurry up and do it. Shi Sheng hung up the phone. Shi Fang looked at the sky speechlessly. He ordered someone to bring over a batch of AI mechas. These mechas didn't need to be controlled by humans. They relied entirely on AI. The Alliance had invented these things to be used as suicide squads. But it was expensive to make, and only the Alliance sold it in batches. Shi Fang felt a little heartache. The Patriarch had used this as a bomb. What a waste! The pirates hadn't even opened up their battle lines when a group of mecha rushed over. Those who were lucky enough to survive the previous explosion still had lingering fears. When they saw a group of mecha rushing over, they were so scared that they couldn't recover for a while. In the end, it was the supreme commander of the pirate crew, Moto, who gave the order in time that prevented irreparable damage. For such a suicidal attack to be so open and aboveboard, the pirates suggested that they should retreat. Even the Alliance couldn't afford to offend him, so how could they? However, Commander Moto had dealt with those who had shaken the morale of the army. Since then, no one dared to talk about retreating. However, there were quite a number of people who were secretly resentful. They were treating their lives as a joke. I really don't know what Commander Moto is thinking. He's treating so many of our lives as a joke. He's the commander now. We have to listen. Damn it. Not good, not good. That person from the Sure family suddenly sent us a message. She said that she's coming over as a guest. A pirate suddenly pointed at the screen and shouted. Everyone looked at the screen and saw the sentence displayed on it at the same time. The scene fell into silence. After a while, someone muttered, "What does this mean? Coming over as a guest?" Was there something wrong with her brain? The pirates didn't know if Sheng was crazy or not, but Commander Moto was definitely crazy. He actually agreed to that person, and even asked them to prepare to welcome her. WTF. Sheng only brought Feng Xiai alone. Moto personally came to fetch her. Moto was a man with a huge build. His entire body felt like it was filled with muscles. Patriarch Sure, I've heard a lot about you. Moto extended his hand toward Sheng. His tone was calm and no special emotions could be heard. Sheng didn't like this kind of man. He liked pretty boys like Feng Xiai. As expected, his wife was still the prettiest. There's no need for that. This kind of formality doesn't apply to me. Sheng didn't extend his hand. If he did, Feng Xiai would kill him on the spot. Moto's hand awkwardly stopped in midair. His expression changed, and he calmly retracted his hand. Patriarch Sure, please come in. There's no need. Sheng pulled out his sword. His brows were filled with arrogance. I'm here today to kill you. Let's not talk nonsense. Let's fight. Baby, stand further away. The last sentence was directed at Feng Xiai. Feng Xiai nodded obediently and retreated to the periphery. The surrounding pirates had never seen such a good-looking young man. Even the women didn't think that he was as good-looking as this young man. He seemed to be covered in a layer of light. He was divine and extraordinary. It was as if he could save everyone at any time. But when he walked closer and swept his gaze over them, everyone suddenly felt as if they had fallen from heaven to hell. An invisible fear spread from the bottom of their hearts. Everyone retreated awkwardly and gave him an empty space. What was wrong with this young man? From afar, he looked like cherub. Why was he so King scary when he walked closer? Moto didn't have the time to pay attention to what kind of psychological trauma Feng Xiai had caused his pirates. Sheng attacked without hesitation. She wasn't asking for his opinion at all. She was just informing him one-sidedly. In this era, most people relied on mechas, who would fight hand-to-hand like this. But this young man wanted to fight hand-to-hand. Clang! The iron sword hit the metal beside it. Sparks flew. It ignited something and a huge fire burst out. Moto and Sheng looked at each other through the fire. The young girl's black dress flew. The flames danced in her eyes. Her delicate face was full of arrogance. Moto panted heavily. He didn't have the heart to appreciate how beautiful the young girl standing in front of him was. He only knew that this person was really here to kill him. He glanced at a door on the side. After passing through that door, the mechas were parked in front of him. He clenched his fists and ran in that direction. Sheng waved his sword. The sword aura carried flames and formed a fire dragon. It swept towards Moto. The scorching heat behind him made him use the fastest speed he had ever used in his life to rush through the door. The fire dragon also rushed through the door. With a loud explosion, the entire cabin door was blown away. Moto's figure charged even deeper into the fire shadow. Sheng narrowed his eyes. He touched God Travel and quickly pressed a few buttons. All the power systems of the starship suddenly stopped working. The light disappeared. Only the emergency lights and the raging fire were left. Chapter 1407. The starship's propulsion system stopped working. The starship started to sway and fall. The pirates screamed as they ran. They cursed Moto a few hundred times in their hearts. They had already said that this person was not to be trifled with. Now everyone was going to die together with him. Feng Xiai looked indifferently at the fleeing pirates. He stood there alone in the midst of the chaos, and no matter how one looked at it, it was a little strange. He lifted his feet and walked towards the direction where the fire was spreading. Everywhere he passed by, the chaotic scene would freeze. Everyone maintained a strange posture. Some were shouting, some were running. He approached the flames, and the flames seemed to be suppressed, becoming dispirited and listless. He stood in front of the cabin door that had been blown away. He turned back slightly. His lips curled up slightly. There seemed to be a flash of light in his eyes. When he turned back and stepped through the door, the still scene behind him seemed to have been shattered. It was torn apart and fresh blood was everywhere. Those who wanted to hurt her deserved to die. Moto had already run to the mecha cabin. There were mechas parked neatly here. In the dim light, these things looked more like huge monsters. Moto tried to open a mecha, but the propulsion system was completely out of control. He couldn't open it. There were footsteps behind him. They were very clear. There was also the sound of iron sword clashing. Moto's palms started to sweat. He looked around and his gaze landed on the manual control room. He crouched and moved towards it. Just as he was about to reach the control room, the lights around him suddenly lit up. A mecha beside him suddenly moved. The large body pressed towards him. Moto was shocked and quickly retreated. His back was pressed against something cold. His collar was grabbed and pulled up. The collar was strangled around his neck, making it difficult for him to breathe. Moto's body swayed. He stepped on the mecha behind him and saved himself. The mecha beside him moved too. The electromagnetic cannon in its hand was aimed at his head. Moto. His body froze. The suffocating feeling came again. He was lifted into the air again. Shisheng looked up at the person who was lifted into the air. He narrowed his eyes and smiled. What benefits did Zero promise you? Moto could only struggle. He couldn't speak. I don't care about what it wants to do at all. However, of all things, it shouldn't have tried to target me. Shisheng said slowly, you're brainless. No matter how powerful it is, I haven't even started to fall, and you actually dared to follow it. Next time when you choose a team, you better open your eyes and don't choose the wrong team. Moto. Who said to stop talking nonsense just now? Why are you talking so much nonsense now? Shisheng asked the mecha to lower Moto. He looked into his eyes, and under Moto's struggling gaze, he sent the iron sword into his body without hesitation. Do you really think I am that easy to bully? That was the last thing he heard. Arrogant and conceited. Shisheng wiped his iron sword clean, and left the mecha cabin. The young man leaned against the cabin door with his head slightly lowered. The side of his face was perfect and flawless. There seemed to be a cold aura around him, making him seem unapproachable. Hearing the sound, he raised his head and looked to the side. The curve of his lips naturally deepened, revealing a faint smile. His quiet eyes rippled with layers of ripples, tainted with warmth. What did you do? Shisheng frowned. This guy wouldn't smile so flirtatiously. Nothing. Feng Xiai denied. Shisheng couldn't hear anything from the starship. His frown deepened. Did you kill someone? Feng Xiai pursed his lips, stood up straight, and looked at Shisheng innocently. Don't pretend to be innocent. Shisheng went forward and pinched his face. I told you my people don't need to do such things. Feng Xi's face was red from being pinched. He pulled her hand down and held it. They attacked me first. Stop talking nonsense. Would they dare to attack you? Shisheng glared at him. Feng Xiai tilted his head and asked innocently, I'm so good-looking. Why wouldn't they dare? Shisheng. Although you're good-looking, it's difficult for others to even get close to you. Why would they attack you? She didn't believe this nonsense. Xiaosheng. Feng Xiai winked at Shisheng. His voice was especially seductive. I won't kill anyone in the future. Don't be angry. I'm not angry. Shisheng lowered his eyes and kissed his hand. With me around, you don't need to be tainted by such filth. What about you? Shisheng looked up at him. Feng Xi's breathing paused. He regretted asking this question. He was afraid that Shisheng would be angry, so he became nervous. Shisheng stared at him for a few seconds and suddenly chuckled. I have a kingdom built with darkness and blood. You're the only light in the kingdom. Feng Xiai froze. He clenched his fists and said in a low voice, I understand. I'll be a good light. There was no salvation for those who were in the same darkness. He was willing to give up the darkness and be the light for the rest of his life. Shisheng caressed his face and raised his head slightly. Feng Xiai, don't be so careful. As long as you don't go overboard, I can tolerate your willfulness. I can give you anything you want. Sometimes Feng Xiai was so careful that even she couldn't bear it. However, she was also afraid that if she indulged him too much, he wouldn't be willing to give in. She knew what kind of soul Feng Xiai hid under his innocent facade in front of her. When that time came, both of them would suffer. And this wasn't the result she wanted. Feng Xiai smiled. I don't feel wronged. You're very good to me. There's no one else in the world who's as good to me as you are. I'm willing to give you something in exchange. If she was willing to spoil him, then let her spoil him. Shisheng held his face and slowly moved closer. First, she lingered on his cold lips. Only when she felt his warmth did she deepen her kiss. Feng Xiai leaned against the cabin door behind him. His breathing was slightly hurried. His long eyelashes fluttered and a blush appeared on his fair cheeks. Shisheng didn't want to do anything here. He quickly let go of him and smiled. Let's go, young master. Let's go back to the palace. Feng Xiai stood there without moving. What's wrong? Let's go from there, Feng Xiai whispered. He glanced at Shisheng from the corner of his eyes. Shisheng was suspicious, but he didn't ask. I'll listen to you. Feng Xiai heaved a sigh of relief. If she went out and saw the scene outside, he didn't know if she would want to strangle him. After leaving the starship, Shisheng took care of the other pirate groups before returning with Feng Xiai. The group of pirates was still dumbfounded. They hadn't even started fighting. How did they get wiped out? The news of Shisheng taking on a pirate group by herself spread throughout the 6 major galaxies. Everyone in the 6 major galaxies sighed. As expected of someone who dared to rob the Alliance. The pirates are gone. Does that mean we don't have to worry about being intercepted by pirates anymore? Speaking of which, she did a good deed. Brother Xing is mighty. Stop dreaming. There are plenty of pirates out there. She only wiped out a few of the more famous pirate groups. Some of the smaller pirate groups also developed rapidly after these groups were wiped out. That makes sense. Pirates definitely won't go extinct. Sigh. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.